Welcome, everyone, to another edition of the Irish Breakdown Podcast presented by FanDuel. Ain't no party like a party when we're celebrating a Notre Dame win over USC, folks. Notre Dame gets the 10-point victory over the Trojans of Southern Cal, and 34-24. So if you got in on the 9.5 and you bet Notre Dame to cover, a ding, 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 you win. That was on FanDuel, but it went up to 10.5 before the game started. So if you got it at 10.5, you didn't win. But overall, Notre Dame is the winner tonight. So everybody, there's no game on the schedule in any year that I want more than this one right here, Notre Dame, USC. And I got to tell you, this is why I'm so adamant about keeping this series alive. And that's a different discussion for a different day. But man, does it feel good to beat those guys from California. And it was fantastic. It was awesome. There was nothing bad. Well, I shouldn't say that. There was a lot of positive, and we're going to talk about it. But man, am I fired up about the fact that Notre Dame just took out USC. So it's a great day, everybody. Appreciate y'all joining us. Don't sing that song. I'm so glad I didn't hear that song one time on the TV copy. But Brian had to ruin it and come in here with it. Did they bring their band? Because I didn't hear that song at all on the TV copy.
Yeah, they did.
One time. Okay, well, one reason I was glad I was not there. So Notre Dame gets a 10-point victory. We're going to do it how we always do it. We're going to talk about our overall thoughts in this game. And just so everybody's aware, we're also going to talk about special teams in this segment. So just prepare yourself mentally because there's a lot of good and then there's a lot of bad. And we're going to talk about both when it comes to special teams. So, Sean, I'm going to start with you, my friend. Overall thoughts on the Notre Dame victory since you kind of have a tie to that other team. So, I'm going to throw it to you first.
It's a good day in my family, man. It's a good day. It's a good day. That's all I can say. It's good bragging rights, especially around Thanksgiving when certain people come back home.
Somebody's 2-0 at Thanksgiving.
Oh, absolutely.
Team and alma mater both got that dub.
But no, in all seriousness, I think Brian and I, we kind of talked about this in the aftermath of the game. You just feel like, watching this team the last 2 weeks, just missed opportunities, feeling like certain things were left on the field offensively and defensively. You just felt like, okay, they really need to get to the bye. They started with 2 tough games. Then mentally they had to reset, go on this 4-game gauntlet that we felt like was pretty much going to determine the season. And now this bye couldn't come at a better time for them. Just watching this game, once it got to the fourth quarter, I thought Trevor did a great job pointing out the recent history of this game where, the second half, whoever wins the second half more than likely is going to win the game. And Notre Dame dominated the second half. They really dominated the trenches on both sides of the ball from start to finish. They just whipped. That's why I laughed. And I sent some clips to Brian. I laughed when I saw multiple USC media types comparing Michigan, and Michigan is the same type of physical team as Notre Dame. And if they did a good job against Michigan, then we can hold their run game. And I'm like, dude, if that's what you believe, but I'll leave some more meat on the bone for everybody else. I will say this. I thought it was a very interesting game from the play callers in a sense that I eventually thought that Lincoln Riley flinched a bit in play calling, but I think he was kind of put in that position because of the way the defensive line for Notre Dame was playing, that he lost a little bit of faith in that patience that he wanted to exert and use in his play calling. So I just really thought it was just one of those games where Notre Dame wasn't at their best, but they're just so darn good, man. They're so darn talented. I mean, 300 yards rushing. It's absolutely insane. Jadarian Price once again breaking Lincoln Riley's heart when he thinks he's turned the tide of the game and then just, snatches his heart out again like he did 2 years ago. I'm sure I'll let you guys get on the special teams. But I'll speak
Why
positive.
kick to him? Why kick to him?
That's
like both. Like, well, he took one back. He's not going to take another one back to rock it.
But that was 101. I wonder if that was Jadarian just making up in his mind that he was coming out.
Yeah.
Because normally, sometimes.
Yeah.
But it was. I told Trev and Vince, while we were waiting to start, like I took a big exhale when they went up 10. It was just like one of those games where it's like, oh my God, this isn't going to come down to a last drive again, is it?
Mm-hmm.
And so when they went up double digits in the fourth quarter, I was like, okay, I feel pretty good about this one. And I'm sure everybody else felt that way. But it's a big win. It's a big win. And I think in a lot of ways, if this was the true litmus test for the defense and how far they have improved, it's some good, it's some bad. The scheme, the kahunas, to put Leonard Moore on Makai Lemon, and which goes back to what I said. I think they kind of bullied Lincoln Riley's play calling this. They forced him to go to other things. Like, no, you're not going to go to your sweet spot in your comfort zone. I think, Brian, you and Trev talked about that with Lincoln Riley during the week. Like, he just searches and searches and searches, and then once he finds your sweet spot, then he goes at it. And I think because multiple times you would see him, I guess, encouraging Makai Lemon when he came to the sideline, just like, eventually we're going to get to you. We're going to get to you. And good win, man. Good win. Really don't care about the style points in this one. Just don't care. Get this W, get to the bye, get healthy, and make this last run. And if they, for back-to-back years, if they can win 10 straight to end the season, that's an incredible feat. That would be an incredible feat.
Trev, what do you got, buddy?
I mean, Sean, task for 2026 is maybe don't put yourself in a spot where you got to rattle off 10 straight. But in all seriousness, look, this game played out exactly like I thought that it was going to. It's a rivalry game. It was going to rain. The weather was going to be a factor. We talked about this on Thursday, and it was whatever team wants to bring the physicality to the most, truthfully. And you go and you look at the performance of Notre Dame in the trenches on both sides of the ball, fellas, it was belt. I mean, it was, man. I mean, Notre Dame's offensive line in the run game absolutely dominated. Absolutely dominated. Whoever USC rotated in. Notre Dame's defensive line impressed me a little bit more than the offensive line did, and that's not because the offensive line didn't have a good performance. This was a game where some of the things weren't working out for you that were kind of, I guess you could call them certains, some of the foundation of your team, I mean, think of this. CJ Carr was off tonight. Malachi Fields ends the game with a catch for 9 yards. Eli Raridan has a catch for 5 yards. Faison goes 6 for 60. Jordan Faison had a Jordan Faison game. Will Pauling had 2 catches for 16 yards and a touchdown. Stuff just wasn't working out for you. So what did you rely on? This was a culture game for Notre Dame. This was Notre Dame's opportunity to say, hey, USC, you guys just aren't on our level from a cultural standpoint. You can have talented skill guys. You can bring in some cool transfers. That's cool. You can't hold a candle to what we have culturally. And that's what this game was. Took their soul. It was not a secret what Notre Dame was going to try to do on offense, and they physically could not stop it. Just couldn't. Between the offensive line, the interior of the offensive line, specifically Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price, USC's defense in back-to-back years now wanted nothing to do with them. Not a one. Mm-hmm. We speculated what a Jeremiah Love rushing performance was going to look like in 2024 if he didn't get hurt. We got to see it tonight. And it did not disappoint.
Still got his.
Sure did. And it did not disappoint in the slightest. Put up a graphic on the TV. Jeremiah Love rushed for the most yards against USC of any Notre Dame running back. Surpassed.
Ever.
Yeah, ever.
Was it Julius Jones?
Yeah,
because Julius
surpassed
went
Julius
for over
Jones.
2 bills. Josh Adams, I think, went for over 2 bills in 2017, I think, didn't he? Had one for like 80.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then this was the 5th best rushing performance yardage-wise by a Notre Dame running back ever by Jeremiah Love, and it was against USC. I mean, it was fantastic. There's things that they have to work on, but what did we say on Thursday, Brian? In rivalry games like this, sometimes you throw out scheme, you throw out record, you throw out who has this advantage here and who has what. Sometimes these games come down to, okay, who wants it more and who's going to be the more physical team. And USC absolutely got dominated. Absolutely got dominated. Notre Dame rushed for 315 yards. USC didn't sniff a hundo. Next question. I mean, it's that simple. And there were coaching adjustments that needed to be made. Some were, some weren't. I love the move to put Leonard Moore and have him shadow Mekhi Lemon for most of the game.
First half.
You did what you had to. I mean, look, man, I'm happy with this. And they left it all out there. They played like they knew they had a bye week coming up because this was a physical game too. They knew. Billy Schrouth was moving people on one leg. And I'm hoping he's okay. But this was a physically dominating performance. And one that I cannot wait to go back and dive into. It was great.
All right, Brian, you've waited very patiently, and I'm proud of you for that. So I'm going to let you go and give us your thoughts.
Vince was like, all right, Sean, you started off. I was like, you're fired. You're fired. Like, you're done.
I can see it in your
Sean,
eyes.
take over. You're stepping in for Vince. Vince is gone. I could never do that. I love giving context to Trev, or not context, but I love giving data to Trev's great points. And to your point, Trev, in the last 2 years, Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price have combined 4. Just give a guess what their total rushing yards is the last 2 years combined. The two of them.
537.
525.
Nah.
525. Like it. Look, guys, here's the thing. It's rainy. It's a rivalry game. There's a lot of things. You got to do this better. Got to do that better. But at the end of the day, this is what good teams do. You did not play your A game. You didn't necessarily play your B game a lot. You did some great things. I said, I do this live instant analysis, and I was like, it's weird watching the defense play because they're making plays, but then they give up these big plays. You had mental mistakes on defense. You had mental mistakes on offense. Your quarterback just wasn't on tonight. The weather helped with that. At the end of the day, football's still about who's the biggest, baddest team. And tonight, Notre Dame was the biggest, baddest team. And that's the point Trev made. It's the point Sean made. At the end of the day, like I love this expression that Trev has. They took belt to behind tonight. And at times you're almost like, I would have liked to seen him run it a little bit more, but I understood where Mike Denbrock was coming from. I thought the puzzling thing is here's the best part about it. USC's game plan was we're going to not let CJ Carr beat us. And Sean, you and I have talked a lot about Danton Lynn and the job he's done. I really thought at halftime they were going to make some adjustments to really force CJ Carr to beat Notre Dame. And other than just a couple linebacker stunts, they didn't do a whole lot different. And Notre Dame just kept running it down their freaking throat. I mean, that was kind of a head scratcher. But, I mean, Notre Dame just physically came out tonight. Defensively, yeah, they were making mistakes, but they were physical. They were punishing guys, I mean, there's a lot to like. I mean, yes, clean this up, clean that up. I don't feel like we need to necessarily always throw prefaces out there. You held the number 1 offense in the country. Team was scoring 45 points a game to 24 points. I don't need any defense played great butts tonight. This is a team that's averaging over 500 yards of offense a game coming into this game. They had 396. The offense got to play better. Yeah, they had 442 points or yards. I wish. 442 yards and 34 points. Like this was a game where all these things going on, Notre Dame gets penalized. It just an absolute joke in this regard. Where's the penalty numbers? Let me go to the team numbers, guy.
Don't do it to yourself.
Notre Dame was penalized. Where are we at? Where's the penalties? Notre Dame was penalized 8 times for 96 yards. USC was penalized once for 5. They called like a false start.
Mm-hmm.
once for
was
5 yards. Notre Dame 8
Wasn't that
for
the
96.
first drive? That was the first.
Yes, first drive of the game.
Yes.
First drive of the game. and I'm watching it. It was their first and goal play.
Yes. Yep.
And I'm like, I mean, officiating was terrible, and it wasn't both ways. The only two things that helped Notre Dame were the 2 interceptions where, like, the ball clearly hits the ground and, like, well, the Notre Dame guy has it, so it must have been an interception. Let's just make it up and then review it. There's just a lot of sloppiness from Notre Dame. And Trev, I think, or maybe it was Sean, this team needs to get to the bye. They needed to get to the bye with a W because you can just see this has been a long stretch. And you needed to get to the bye with a win. And they got to a bye with a win. There's a lot they'll clean up on offense. There's no question there's a lot they'll need to clean up on offense and defense. But this team came out and played their tails off, played their butts off. And when Notre Dame beats USC, you expect it to be because they were the more physical football team. But here's the difference about this Notre Dame team from past Notre Dame teams. The best athlete on the field today was still wearing a Notre Dame uniform. And he was number 4. The second best athlete on the field today was also wearing a Notre Dame uniform, and he was number 15. The third best athlete on the field today was also wearing a Notre Dame uniform. He wore number 24. I mean, that's the difference, Sean, and that's the Notre Dame you and I grew up on. Yeah, you can have all your athletes, but we still got Rocket, we still got Todd Light, we still got Ricky Waters. We're just as athletic as you, but we're going to beat your butts in the trenches. That's what today was, fellas. You know what game it reminded me a lot of, Sean? 89. When Notre Dame turned the ball over 5 times and they were sloppy and missed opportunities, but they just said, but we're still bigger and badder than you. You still can't hang with us when it comes down to big boy football. And tonight, they couldn't hang with Notre Dame when it came down to big boy football. Pardon my language, if you have a child with you, I'm just repeating what Lincoln Riley said. We're a tough-ass football team. Well, guess what, Lincoln? Notre Dame's still a whole lot tougher, physically and mentally. Because when USC needed plays to get back in that game, they couldn't do it. They forced turnovers. And tonight, Lou Holtz, there was a quote that I saw, Holtz's Heroes Foundation, or Holtz Heroes Twitter page. Love that Twitter page. But he had something that I saw the other day, and it was a comment from Lou Holtz. And it said, this is what Coach Holt said to Coach Freeman. I don't give advice, but I'll share my opinion. Be the most physical team on the field. Check. Be the most fundamental. Okay, not a check. Be the closest team. Care more about each other than they do. Check. Here's the big one. Don't flinch. And no matter what happens, we'll find a way to win. Lincoln Riley flinched. When they got down the field, he flinched. They did that reverse pass. Notre Dame was prepared for it. We'll break that down later. And Notre Dame said, hey, we're better than you. And USC felt they needed to pull some stuff out of their hat. And Notre Dame was ready for it every time. And so beat them in the trenches, out-coached them, out-hit them, out-physicaled them. And despite all the mistakes, the turnovers, I mean, think about it. They missed a field goal, missed an extra point, threw a red zone interception, and still won by 10.
I mean, that's 11 points right there. That's 11 points that should have been on the board, to be honest with you. And you could even say 7 because you could maybe they kick a field goal, instead of the interception or whatever. But
yeah, because CJ should have thrown it away. Yeah. It's 4th down. You kick the extra field goal.
So 7 points.
You make it. Yeah,
that's a big assumption right now. But yeah, 7 points off the table or off the board, and they win by 17. And we're not, freaking out.
And you dropped also a 4th down pass. You drop. Yeah. Jordan Faison drops the 4th down pass after they turn the ball over. But end of the day, Notre Dame got it done because they got better players and they got better coaches. And look, I'll give something to USC, right? I'm going to talk a little trash on USC, but their players played their butts off tonight. They did. Like, they didn't back down from Notre Dame. They just not as good as Notre Dame.
Correct.
Like, if you're USC, you look at this and you're a USC fan, and if there's any USC fans watching this, be proud of your football team tonight because they played hard. They weren't afraid of Notre Dame. They're just not as good as Notre Dame right now. So go back to the drawing board and recruit better, and which Chad will, and try to figure it out. Because right now there's a monumental gap still between what's going on in the offensive lines and defensive lines between Notre Dame and USC.
Yeah. Yep. No doubt about that.
Now, if Notre Dame could just figure out some special teams in the
let's
kicking
talk about
operation,
that.
that'd be nice.
Let's talk about that a little bit, because there are the chasm in between what is good on special teams and what is poor on special teams is about as massive as you can get. And basically, when the ball starts out on the ground and they kick it, it's not good. Kickoffs, you're asking Eric Schmidt to do something that he's not good at. He's not good at placing a football in a certain place. He's not good at it. He's got a boomstick for a leg. Just let him kick it out of the back of the end zone and call it a day. That's what you need to do every single time. Stop asking him to kick it in the corner, period. The punt game, good. James Rendell had a great game. He had a fantastic game today. So that's really
He's had a great year. So
he
far.
has. Yeah, 100% have. The inconsistencies in the punt game that we saw last year are not there this year. So, hey, kudos to James Rendell for kicking it in the offseason and doing what you need to do.
And kudos to Marty Biaggi for letting him punt this year and not doing that rugby mess.
Correct. No, 100%. He just kicks it, and he doesn't even bring his plant foot off the ground. He just kicks it and it goes 52 yards.
Such a strong leg.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. So, really good punting, not good kickoffs. Kick return game. If they're dumb enough to kick it to Notre Dame, good things happen. And obviously good things happen when Mr. Price gets the football and he has a nose for the end zone, because he broke 2 legitimate tackles on that kickoff return and still took it to the house. That was amazing, and at a huge point in that game. That might be a turning point that we have to talk about moving forward on tomorrow's show, Brian, but we'll talk about that later. But huge momentum swing for Notre Dame, as we have said from the get-go in the kicking game. Huge momentum swing. And then you talk about place kicking. And place kicking is a major problem for Notre Dame. And it has been for a while.
Yep.
And I don't know if it's an evaluation problem. I don't know if it is an execution problem. I don't know if it's a program problem.
And sometimes it's been an injury problem. Last year was an injury problem.
Sure.
When Mitch Jeter was healthy, he was money.
But it's a problem.
Right.
The kicking game is a problem right now. And you have 3 kickers on the roster that supposedly can kick. 2 of them, I think, should be off the table. Let the Diomede kid kick at this point, because Noah Burnett either has the yips or just can't do it. Whatever the case may be, you've been given your shot. We were told you're healthy. And if this is you healthy, this is not good enough. It's time to go to it's next man up. And Eric Schmidt had a chance early on in the season, didn't do very well. So, Diomede, it's up to you now. That's where I'm at.
We'll have to agree to disagree on that one. They let him battle and, give the young kid a shot at that as well. And if he can't go, if he doesn't improve, then you need to go find yourself a new kicker in the offseason. And, if he does well, then great. But
I think they should have been doing that anyway.
No, I get that. To your point, though, is this has been 3 years in a row. I mean, Spencer Schrader, you almost wanted to get 8 false starts so you can get him back to 55 so he might make it. 35-yard field goals are I don't know. It's 55. You're this is 3. Just give him 3.
Yeah.
Then right. Mitch Jeter gets hurt last year, and then this year Noah Burnett's been hurt, and there's a lot of issues that they got to figure out there. I mean, you kick the ball out of bounds twice, like you said, because you're trying to have a freshman with a huge leg. Just
trying to get him to place the ball
and let him go 75. Make him go 75 yards. Stop trying to get cute.
I'm telling you, this kid can kick it out of the back of the end zone every single time if you just let him do it.
Into the wind, he can kick it 5 yards into the end zone. It didn't make sense. But that's it. The special teams has been the most schizophrenic unit on the football team this year. Because in one breath they're making big plays, and the next breath they can't kick an extra point.
Right.
They can't make a short field goal. They can't kick the ball in bounds. And so Coach Biaggi is going to have to figure some stuff out. And even the kick return, I mean, you could give credit to Biaggi for that, but that was just Jadarian Price being a dude. And look, for all the bad officiating that Notre Dame had to deal with tonight, they missed a hold on Notre Dame on that kick return. It was behind the play, and I don't know if it would have necessarily counted, like if it would have stopped him, but there was a hold. There was a hold. just a crap officiating crew. But end of the day, why even give him a shot to kick the ball, return the ball? I mean, Jeremiah Love was a monster tonight, right? But for 3 years in a row now, Jadarian Price has just destroyed USC. He had the kick return for a touchdown 2 years ago after they made it 31-20. They thought they were getting back in the game, and he takes it back to the house. Jeremiah Love gets hurt last year, and Jadarian comes back and runs for over 100 yards in the second half alone. And then tonight, Jeremiah Love's the star. We'll talk about in the offensive section. But Jadarian goes out there and rushes for 87 yards on 13 carries, has a touchdown, then has a kick return, 102 yards for a touchdown. Like, I would never want to give that kid – I'd never give that kid a chance to return a kick. That was just bad coaching, and Notre Dame made him pay for it. Because as I said earlier, the 3 best football players in the field tonight, and you could even go down, I think, were wearing blue and gold. And 2 of them play running back. So it's a fun place to be. I mean, honestly, Vince or Trev, this is kind of what it was like for Sean and I growing up. And to a degree, Vince was a few years, like 88 to 90, Notre Dame was as athletic as anybody in the country. And they played great in the trenches. And that's kind of what this team is. They just got to clean some stuff up and get rolling. But you needed a rivalry game win, and you got a 10-yard, and that was this now 5 out of 6, 6 out of 7, right? So Notre Dame, like 17, 18, 19, 21, 23, 24, 20, so 7 out of 8, right? USC won at 22. And then prior to that, their last win would have been 2016.
When Notre Dame was awful.
4-8.
Yeah. Look, for me, going into and watching and getting ready for this game, it feels good coming out of the game to know that, death, taxes, and Notre Dame is going to dominate USC in the trenches. Like, that's still a thing. And it's still going to be a thing until Notre Dame decides it's not a thing. Like, that's where I'm at.
Sean, can I be petty for a second, Sean? Is that allowed? Okay. I think Notre Dame needs to rethink this USC series because it's not helping their strength of schedule. They might want to drop USC and start playing a better opponent that might have a shot to beat them, that is ranked more than 5 times in 15 years when the game gets played. So, I mean, I get it. So it actually works out for both teams. USC can play someone they can actually beat. UC Davis or something like that. Nevada, San Jose State. And then Michigan. Notre Dame can play a team that actually helps build their resume for the playoffs. So just saying, 7 out of 8 years, most games by double digits,
I mean, kids have been born and are in their midway through their first semester of high school since the last time USC won in South Bend.
Because that was 2011, right?
Yeah. Kids are gearing up to take
covering Notre Dame football, not covering Notre Dame football team.
Yeah, kids are gearing up to take their driver's ed test to get their learner's permit since the last time.
I have 2 children that have been born since Notre Dame won in South Bend, and one
in South Bend, yeah,
and one of them's going to be in high school next year. So
yeah, I went to high school, I went to college, finished, dated somebody for 4 years, got married, celebrated a 1-year anniversary, and they still haven't done it.
Yeah,
I get why they don't want to play it.
USC can keep Michigan on the schedule because they can beat them.
Was that proper pettiness, Sean? Did I do that right? Did I do that right, Mr. Davis?
It wasn't as petty as the stadium DJ tonight, who at the end of the game played California Love and
wow.
and Not Like Us at the end of the game. I
will actually give the DJ
played.
a minus on that one because what he should have played is Biggie. You're going back to Cali with a loss. That's what I would have done. So, yeah.
But yeah, it was a lot of pettiness. It was a lot. This game seemed like it meant a lot to the Notre Dame players. I don't know if it was the talk around the end of the rivalry. I don't know if it was them feeling a vibe that their head coach was feeling
about I think it. Was the little Chad Bowden.
The whole Chad Bowden, yes, that. Trey pointed out something like we never saw. I don't know if it happened. We never saw Lincoln Riley and Marcus, dap it up at midfield. after the game, we just saw Lincoln Riley running straight to the locker room.
Well, I mean, guys, I've been saying it for 2 years. He's a coward.
It's just
I mean,
tonight. To Notre Dame had a little something extra tonight. They had a little, and I think USC came in feisty tonight as well. Like Brian said, they played hard. They played hard. They tried to bring it. They just didn't have the horses, as the people down south would say. They just didn't have the big uns down in the trenches to really get anything done. And to me, man, I just really enjoyed the atmosphere. Just getting feedback even before the game. They didn't have the walk as normal, so recruits missed out on that. But even when it was raining, I was getting feedback at like, yo, the energy was still. I had people here in Chicago, my friends, like, yo, I'm out to breakfast, and it's like downtown is full of USC fans. Like, what the heck? And it's like, man, the energy was just incredible leading into this game and hoping that it wouldn't be canceled and then you start to hear they both had buys the same weekend. It's like, will it get pushed back? And then all of a sudden it's just divinely
some of the stuff I heard about that, Sean, and about the hissy fit USC was throwing about potentially moving the game or pushing the game back. And they really want out of this series.
Yes.
They're trying to pick any fight they can with
any excuse.
Because here's what's going on. So the boosters do not want out of this series. So USC's leadership, and I only use that because they are technically the leaders of the school, even though I don't think they're really any leaders at all. They're trying to basically get Notre Dame to make the decision. They're trying to put Notre Dame in positions where Notre Dame does things. And like, well, we wanted to do this, but Notre Dame was doing this, and we had no choice. Because they want to be able to go back to their boosters and say, well, we tried to make it happen. We made Notre Dame multiple offers, but, they didn't do this and they didn't do that. That's what they're trying to do, Sean. And Pete Bavacqua needs to call their bluff every single time. That's what absolutely he needs to do.
Yeah. So it was a very interesting Vince, I'm glad you reminded me about the whole Chad Bowden thing, because I had totally forgotten about that dude, because according to him, recruiting was going to fall apart even when he tried to, as he left, plant bombs to explode as Notre Dame moved forward, as if he was going to sabotage the 26 class. And lo and behold, Notre Dame ends up with a top 5 class, and they're probably going to end up with another top 5 class in 27, the way things are starting to unfold. So good job, Chad. Thanks.
That's one guy at USC I won't be throwing petty jabs at tonight, because number one, he did help play a role, but number two, when my wife had surgery and when my father-in-law passed away, one of the first people to reach out to me both times was Chad Bowden. So I'm in a little bit of a gracious mood towards Chad tonight.
Well, he didn't reach out to me, and I think
that's right.
He doesn't know you.
Well,
he doesn't
that
know
doesn't
you.
matter. That doesn't matter.
It's irrelevant. It's
irrelevant. Irrelevant.
But let's see. This is why he fits with the head coach. Because Brian, I believe I'll take you at your word. But the way he did and the things he did in the aftermath and certain things that were circulating while Marcus Freeman was looking for the next GM that we know about, he's a coward. And he operated as a coward on his way out. I'll say it. Don't like it one bit. Everything you said is probably spot on. Good dude. But the way he handled the situation on the way out, the comments he made, his initial press conference out there, you handled it like a coward, and then your head coach leaves the field like a coward. It's almost like a perfect match. Like, all right, that's the way you guys want to act. Go right ahead. Act like that. I found it interesting on the NBC broadcast where they were talking about that Lincoln Riley said he knew when he got to USC it was going to be a rebuild. And I'm like, it's USC. What are you talking about? Dude, Cignetti just turned Indiana around in like 2
Exactly. Kurt Cignetti
what are we talking about?
Year built Indiana to a playoff team. But you're in year 4.
Year 4.
You got hired the same year Marcus Freeman did in LA. You're in year 4 of a rebuild. It's like he is he is a younger, taller, better offensive mind version of Brian Kelly. That's what he is. Let me make all the excuses in the world to take the thing off me. You know, like he went to USC because he thought he could go dominate the Pac-12.
Yep.
That's what he thought.
Yep.
And you know, now you want to get out of the Notre Dame series because you want to make you're trying to schedule your way into the postseason. Look, we get rid of that game. We got rid of Ole Miss already. We dominate our 3 non-conferences, and all we got to do is go 7-2 in the Big Ten because he knows we're not getting Oregon, Michigan, Penn State, Ohio State, and Washington every year, all 5 of them. You get 2 or 3 of them. You just got to go 1-2 against those teams and beat everybody else that sucks in the Big Ten because there's a lot of teams that suck in the Big Ten. And you're in the playoffs because he's a coward. And honestly, I'll be real about this, Sean. You may disagree. USC deserves better because that's a program that our entire lives was we'll play anybody, anywhere, at any time. They would go down to Alabama and play Alabama and Tuscaloosa or Birmingham back in the 60s and 70s. Think about that. You know, and when Pete was rolling, they'd play Auburn, they'd play Ohio State, they'd play Virginia Tech on top of playing Notre Dame and win. But this guy wants to schedule his way into, and they had to finish 1 or 2 to have a shot at the title back then. This coward wants to schedule his way into 10-2 to get in the postseason so he can get his playoff bonus. USC deserves better than Lincoln Riley. They do. That program is to me, and I know it's because it depends on how you look at the program. I've said I don't hate USC. I respect USC. I hate them the same way I hated the Lakers as a Celtics fan in the 80s. I hate them because they're good. But they haven't been for a while because they make bad head coaching hires. And I'm sorry, they deserve better than this. This rivalry deserves better than this coward. And the players deserve better than this coward. And the AD is not much better if we're going to be real about this conversation right now. So anyway, it's great to be able to go out and get that win. They needed to get this win because now if USC punks out of it, we can well, you know, we'll go ahead and hold on to this George Shillelagh for a while since y'all don't want to play anymore. You know, have fun with that.
And we can end all of this talk about they need USC more. Look, man, Texas, Alabama, Clemson, it's getting added to the schedule. Those are teams
that's hilarious.
Dude.
Notre Dame just signed a 12-year deal with Clemson. They've got Texas, Alabama, Florida, Arkansas coming up on the schedule. The ACC wants to give them more Miami and Florida State. Notre Dame's going to have Pete Bavacqua said on Dan Pat, he goes, we have a long list of schools that are looking to take over this spot. A long list of schools. Michigan State would love to get back on Notre Dame's schedule every year. Purdue would love to get, because you know why? Because every other year, they're going to get a huge payday when Notre Dame comes to town because you think that hotel prices are expensive now. Wait till the weekend that you play Notre Dame. You know, I mean, they know. They know. There's a lot of teams that would love to replace USC on the schedule. So this whole Notre Dame needs USC, USC doesn't need Notre Dame. You're right. USC doesn't need Notre Dame because they don't need that butt whooping in their life every year. They don't need that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you go to a place enough times and get punched. You know, you go to a bar every Saturday and get punched in the face. You stop going to that bar after a while. You know what I mean? Like, I go get my butt kicked every time I go there. I may stop going there. And that's where USC is at right now. We can't beat Notre Dame. Notre Dame has 8 penalties for 95 yards at the red zone turnover. They can't make an extra point. They can't get filled. They still kicked our butt. Yeah. So maybe Notre Dame should play someone that can actually have a shot to beat them, because USC can't. Is that enough pettiness, Sean? Was that better? Did I up the pettiness game that time? Okay. All right. I'm ready to talk some offense. I'm ready to talk some offense.
All right, well, that's going to do it for this part of the broadcast. So make sure you hit the like button, the subscribe button, that notification bell, share with your family and friends, and, of course, jump on the boards at boards.irishbreakdown.com. We're going to have all kinds of fun stuff for you over there. But, yeah, make sure you stick around. We got a lot more to come. All right, gentlemen, let's talk a little offense, and the offense was an interesting bag today. And I guess I could say that about the defense as well. But offensively, there were things that were working really, really well, and there were some things that didn't work very well. And they had some drives that were just like butt kicking drives. It was like, yeah, here we go, baby. Like everything they were doing was working. And then they had some 3-and-outs where you're just like, that was some interesting choices there on that drive. So offensively, guys, start wherever you want. You can start with the good. You can start with the stuff that needs to get better. However you want to do it. Trevor, I'm going to start with you, my friend. Give us your thoughts on the offense.
I don't have time I can point to myself more than that, Vince. Go ahead, Trev.
Oh, gosh. I thought the offense played well. Brian, take it away.
Go ahead, Trev. I'm just messing with Vince.
No, I know. I know. Look. I think there were some aspects of the offense that there was a lot left to be desired. I think that's fair to say. I understand if people want to have a negative outlook on this game, I can't hop on that bandwagon with you, but I get it. Malachi Fields had 1 catch for 9 yards. Eli Raridan had 1 catch for 5. Your second leading receiver again was Jeremiah Love. I understand why. He was an absolute terror this game. USC wanted nothing to do with him. But then you also look at the flip side. Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price combined for 474 total yards and 3 touchdowns this game. That's insane. That's insane. 474 total yards, including the 100-yard kick return. But you go and you look at, I said this in the opening, when stuff isn't going your way, what do you rely on? What's Marcus Freeman's core for this team? Have to be able to run the ball and stop the run. What did they do tonight, fellas? Ran the ball and stopped the run. At your core, you have to have something to fall back on. That's why Notre Dame's been able to dominate this rivalry over the last really 15 years, because they fall back onto what the core of their program is. Because if I remember correctly, Notre Dame has been able to run the ball on USC really since 2011. There's some caveats in there, 16, 22, but the majority of the series, Notre Dame's been able to establish a line of scrimmage, reset the line of scrimmage in their favor. Their, positive takeaways from the offense, I thought run blocking wise, they were spectacular. The interior of this offensive line played, and this is not a shot at Ashton Craig, and I hope he heals up soon. But if this was your first game watching Notre Dame's interior offensive line, you would have not have thought their right guard was a redshirt freshman, and you would have not thought that this was Joe Otting's first career start.
Yeah, you wouldn't have thought their backup center was the field.
Just wouldn't.
To your point, Ashton has at times been their best lineman. That's not the point Trevor's making. It's just if you didn't know any better, you'd be like, yeah, that's pretty dang healthy, nasty offensive line.
And look, Joe Otting, when he came in, last game, he didn't do great, but he's coming off the bench, whatever. And I said,
worked all week with the first team offensive line.
100%. Yeah. It's totally understandable. And I said, look, he's going to have to play better next week. 100%. He did a lot better than play better. He played amazing.
Was outstanding tonight.
He was so good. So, yeah, no, he played excellent. He played absolutely excellent.
Yeah. Billy Strouth was absolutely moving dudes on one leg. He was hurting. He was absolutely hurting. But this, look, man, this was a performance overall from the offense. I loved what Mike Denbrock did. Found a groove in the offense and stuck with it. To what Brian said earlier, I understand why he kept trying to get CJ out of the pocket, getting him in a rhythm. But yeah, at the end of the day, you kind of just stick what works. And the run game was working tonight. I thought CJ tonight looked like a redshirt freshman in a really big game. I did. Do I love the step back? No. But I said this earlier in the week. You could make the argument this is his biggest start. I understand Miami on the road, top 10 matchup, week after you get Texas A&M at home at night. But, this is Notre Dame USC. And potentially his only opportunity to play Notre Dame versus USC. I would say maybe if they make the playoffs, I seriously doubt it. But some of the mistakes I saw from him tonight were he's still a redshirt freshman. He was. Stuff has to get cleaned up. But he also still found a way to put the ball in the end zone twice. Once on his own, on a design quarterback call that I didn't love, but it worked. And he found Will Pauling on probably his best throw of the night.
Listen, if he's going to have a bad night or he's going to look like a redshirt freshman, I wouldn't even call it a bad night. I would just say if he's going to look like a redshirt freshman, I like the fact that he can hand off to two guys that have 474 yards of football.
Well, guys, a month ago, I mean, team-wise, a month ago, we were saying that we were scared for this day to come. I mean, they weren't running the ball very well, and they couldn't stop anybody. We were like, if CJ Carr has a redshirt freshman performance, they're going to be in big trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it shows how far this team has come because he had that moment, and they still won by 10 points. That's a good sign. I think this is something that, like, again, nobody needs to buy more than CJ. It's been a lot. Now he gets to take a step back, relax, and say, "Hey, we gotta get this thing figured out." So, yeah, I'm with you. Like, he had a redshirt freshman performance, but he also, like you said, made that big throw late in the game to put it away. And I want to talk about the run. Trevor? You done? You got anything else?
I mean, it was just more so about running back stuff. And if you're getting ready to talk about run game, I mean, Vince,
talk about the run game period. So one of the things that I know Trevor and I talked a lot about this last week was they weren't physical enough in the run game. It was too much stretch, too much outside zone. What I loved about the run game tonight is they went right at USC, guys. They were running duo all night long. Who was it that said to me, was it you, Trev, that said in the text message, like, I'm getting Clemson 2022 vibes? Was that Trev that said that, or Vince that said that? Vince, you said that? Vince is like, don't be. Oh, Trev, okay. You paused here. So you were getting ready to go like this, but your screen froze here. So I was like, was that Vince? Yeah, Trev. They just ran right at USC all night. And they really set the tone on was it the second play of the game? They just ran duo right down USC's throat, opened up a big old hole, and just went to the house. And I thought that was – they still ran a couple stretch plays, and they ran counter tonight in a couple different ways, including like with Matt Jeffrey a couple times just as the puller, the second puller. And so there was a lot of things they did schematically that I thought were good, because the one thing we talked about, Trev, in our shows, and Sean, you and I talked about this in our personal conversations, this is a really long, athletic USC defensive line, but they're not very big. And this was good. This is good scouting and good evaluation by the Notre Dame offensive staff to say, hey, we need to go right at these guys and be really physical. So they ran a lot of duo and a lot of gap scheme tonight. This is a team that has been a heavy zone team this year, but they said we need to run duo and gap scheme stuff at them all night, and they did. And then so that's great, you did that. But you know, if you're gonna do that, your offensive line has to play well. And I want one of you guys, when I send out the all 22 to later tonight, I want one of you guys to count the number of pancake blocks the offensive line had tonight, because you're going to need more than two hands to do that. And it was everybody. And Joe Otting, I brought that Big Killa had the chat earlier that I brought up. It's not just that he blocked his butt off. This is his first snap in the rain, and he didn't have one muff snap all night. Blocked his tail off tonight, and he wasn't even in the top 3 of best offense or top 2 of best offensive linemen tonight. He wasn't even top 3 of best interior offensive linemen tonight, because the entire interior was dominant. Gerby Lambert had the best game of his career so far, and I don't even know if he was their best lineman tonight, because Billy Strouth was absolutely destroying USC tonight. Gerby Lambert was destroying USC tonight. Joe Otting whooped USC's interior players. Like, I mean, you got to be so proud of that flipping kid. And you saw it on the first run of the game. First run of the game, Joe goes and makes a big block. Works a combo block. They slant in front of him. He gets up to the second level. Gets a body on the linebacker. Boom, Jeremiah cuts right off. I'm like, okay, Joe's going to be all right. He's going to be all right. Played his absolute butt off tonight. And, so I thought the run scheme was great, and I thought the offensive line, it was just a vintage offensive line performance. A week after, we were very critical of the way that the offensive line performed in the run game. So great job this week by Joe Rudolph to get that unit ready to go and ready to whoop USC's butt. And the sack that Anthony Knapp gave up, that was not on Anthony Knapp. That was on CJ Carr. He rode the guy outside. CJ just spun out into him. That wasn't on Anthony Knapp. I thought CJ didn't look comfortable tonight in the pocket. He was rushing a lot. His arm speed was too fast. That's why he was throwing a lot of balls low and high. So he was off. But at the same time, Jordan Faison, you got to make that catch, man. You're the guy in this pass game. You got to make that catch, that fourth down grab. So it was a pass game. Just was a little off tonight. But USC was playing to stop the pass. For the life of me, I can't figure out that. But you know what, guys? That's the bind this team puts you in. It changes from week to week. Like Arkansas came out with a game plan kind of designed to stop the run, and they still couldn't. Purdue came out with a game plan and said, we're not going to let CJ Carr beat us. Boise came out with a game plan and said, we're not going to let the run game beat us. NC State came out with a game plan and said, we're not going to let the run game beat us. And then USC comes out and says, we're not going to let CJ Carr beat us. And so we're like, all right, cool. Well, you're daring us to beat you with Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price? Challenge accepted.
And it just so happens to be on the same night that the offensive line probably has their best game of the year.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they rushed for 182 yards in the first half, finished with 306. Part of the reason they finished with 306 is because they had, -2. You had CJ took that loss on the last drive, on the run. You had the -2 for the kneeling down. They were closer to 3. The two backs we said were 315. This is one of those things where, I mean, you needed to say, hey, I mean, Trev, you and I talked about in the game records. So your dudes got to be dudes in games like this. And Jeremiah Love absolutely was tonight. But he was also running through big holes, but he also ran hard tonight. Converted a fourth down, converted third downs. He ran hard. He was a lot more patient tonight than he was last week. Notre Dame played into that, a lot more pistol tonight, and which allowed him to get downhill with a little bit more ferocity. I think Zach Martin in the chat made this comment, but CJ had a lot of good run checks, and his run checks are, we're going to line up in pistol, and you've got to see which side we want to run duo or which side we want to go, and you've got to get everybody set for it. And, for all the things that CJ, missed on the pass game, there was also some growth tonight. There was a play where Ty Washington wasn't lined up appropriately, and CJ points. He's like, get on the ball. And he makes him step up and get on the ball. Little things like that are things that I don't know that he was there in the first couple games. And so I thought he was able to impact the game in a way. And look, I didn't love the call either, but I understand why they made the quarterback draw or quarterback run calls at the end. They just had no answers in the red zone. They're like, look, just go back to what worked last year. Have Jeremiah be a lead blocker, and let's just get extra hats because right now nothing's working. Bye week, the red zone offense, and especially the goal line offense, has to be like the number one priority to figure out during the bye week. Number one priority, because they just look lost right now. So at the end, they're just like, look, they're just going to run it, and we're just going to run the same stuff we did last year at Riley, and just hope that CJ can read it properly, which he did. And Jeremiah can get a block, which he did, and Illinois can get a push, which they did, and just hope we can outnumber them and just be more physical than them, because they just like it's in their head now at this point, guys. The inside the 10-yard line, and they still won by 10, and they've won now 5 in a row. I think they've covered all 5 games. Correct, Trev? You look like FanDuel.
If you put the bet in on Thursday, they covered.
Okay.
But the line moved to 10.5 today.
Okay. So game day it moved, but for all week. And then I think it also did that for Boise, right? Didn't it move to like 22 before the game?
Well, for Boise, it was 20.5 on Thursday, and then day of it moved to 21.5.
So the day that we do our prediction shows, the FanDuel line from there every time has moved. Or they've covered, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I mean, it's a strong performance. I think, guys, this is what, to me, tonight was an example of what makes this team so hard to beat. You just can't stop all of it at the same time. Some week it's the run game's not playing well and CJ lights them up. Last week, run game struggled. CJ throws for 342. This week, pass game's not there. They run for over 300 yards. Like, that's what makes this team so dangerous, because it's like you can't stop both of it. And so teams are picking pick your poison. And it doesn't matter which one you pick, it's not going to work out well for you. So overall, I'm pleased with the result from the offense, although we will have a lot of things we point out upon further review of things they got to clean up during the bye.
Sean, offensive thoughts.
Yeah, I think they peaked at a certain point, and I think the last 2 weeks they were just trying to cross the finish line. And the things they need to clean up, short yardage, just basically allowing teams to kind of like hang in the game a little bit longer than they should. And, give yourself a little bit more grief, make things a little bit tighter, especially in the second half. But like Brian and Trev said, they'll clean those things up. The offensive line, that's the theme of this thing, right? Belt to A, as Trev said. I mean, that's really what we watched all night. And we'll get to it on the defensive side as well. I will say this, and it goes to something that Brian said. I think it's very interesting that the powers that be of the brain trust of USC, Lynn and Lincoln Riley, came to the decision that it's better for us to die the death of 1,000 cuts when it comes to this Notre Dame offense. That's the decision they made. Not to be aggressive as they were against the Michigan run offense last week. They showed you the amount of respect that they had for C.J. Carr in comparison to the amount of respect they had for Bryce Underwood. It's clear as day the way they approached this game, because they approached it totally different than they approached Michigan. So that just shows you the amount of respect that C.J. Carr in this passing game has, that they would choose to keep their safeties back, and keep the big play from Notre Dame's pass offense off the table and force Notre Dame to be methodical. And they were hoping that CJ would make a mistake. That's what they were hoping. We can force this youngster, give him different looks post-snap, trick him, and maybe he'll throw a couple of interceptions or give us a couple of mistakes. And he gave them a mistake. He gave them one. And they got exactly what they wanted, and they still gave up over 400 yards and lost by 10 points. And we're sitting here once again saying Notre Dame scored 34. They really should have scored 45, 48. I mean, that's the feeling you get, right? And so this offense, I believe, once they come back and get healthy, you know what? I think I know what happened on the last injury to Billy Schrauff. I think it was knee to knee, because that's the way he reacted. The defensive tackle came across and his knee hit the inside of Billy's knee, and he immediately put his knee up in the air. So that's what I think it was, and it kind of aggravated what was already hurting, when he initially left the game. So hopefully, I think I told Trev, I think they could beat Boston College without Billy Schrauff. I'm pretty sure they could beat him. So, if it's something that they can give him a couple of weeks to get back,
God sucks.
They really do. They got blown out by Connecticut today. So that's so bad.
They do. But okay.
But offensively, dude, they ran the ball for 315 yards with their running backs. That's crazy.
And it wasn't a secret.
No, not at all. Because I think this is one of those games where the edict was given out by Marcus Freeman when he talked about this has to be a bloody game. Like, I guess he envisioned, like, this is what we have to do to win this game. But for him to say that, because I'm sure they know that their team was low on energy, after this gauntlet they just ran. We need to get to this bye week. They knew this, but to be able to ask his guys in the trenches to conjure up enough to be able to put forth this performance that they put forth tonight, it says a lot about him as a leader, and it says a lot about his ability to be able to pull it out of his guys because they respond. I think you said that, Brian, earlier in the week on one of the shows you and Trev were talking about. You have no doubt that Notre Dame is going to come out ready and prepared because it's very rare in big games that Marcus Freeman's teams, maybe the last one, I think you guys mentioned was Clemson on the road.
Which,
was like
and that depends on whether or not you can even consider that a big game. If it wasn't Clemson, it was Louisville. I mean, it was either one of those 2023 games.
Yeah. And that, they came out ready. I think we'll get to that in the defense, but offensively, man, I think they're going to take off again after this bye.
Oh, yeah.
I think they're going to take off. I mean, of course, because of the competition, but I think we're going to see things cleaned up.
And Brock's track record, Sean. That's his track record. They come out of buys, they do some self-scouting, and they come out cooking.
But I think they're going to figure out the short yardage. I really do. I think I would like to see a couple of things. CJ scares me when he runs, man, because he just hits his. I worry about him getting a concussion because his head is always down, and I'm like, oh man, kid. But other than that, this rush offense was this was crazy. What was better, the Clemson performance with Aldrick and Logan, or this performance with Jadarian and Jeremiah?
I mean, that one. Well, this one was more aesthetically pleasing, just because they're so dominant. But what was impressive about that game is I think that wasn't a great offense for Notre Dame. Like, that was kind of like out of nowhere. Like, wow, they were impressive. They just physically beat up a pretty top 5 team at the time, and this one was more impressive because I think this one was more like aesthetically pleasing because these guys are just so freaking good. And that game was as much about the O-line as it was the backs. This game, this game is similar. Not great. What I say that well, like the line played great in that game, and then the backs played great in that game. In this game too, the O-line played great in this game, and the backs played great in this game. But this duo is just – I love Audric Estime. I love Logan Diggs. You guys know that. These guys are just better. They just are. They're just – they're dudes. Sean, you talked about they had – Jeremiah had 228 yards. Jadarian had 87 yards. It's 315 yards. The guys only carried the ball 37 times. They averaged 8.5 yards a carry, the two backs. Jeremiah Love had 24 carries. He averaged 9.5 yards a carry tonight. Like, Trev, we were talking about, this is the game where legends are made, Trev. This is the game where people remember what you did against USC. No one's going to remember what Jeremiah Love did at Boise State 5 years from now. We're not talking about, remember that game that Julius Jones had against, Navy? No, we're talking about, you guys remember when Julius Jones went out in LA, I think it was 01, maybe it was 02, I forget which year it was, maybe it's 2, and just destroyed them. We don't remember the games that Reggie Brooks had against Air Force. We remember the games he had against Michigan and USC, though. So, and A&M in the bowl game. That's what you're remembered for. No one's going to remember that Jeremiah Love ran all over Boise State. No one's going to remember Jeremiah Love going off on Arkansas in 10 years. When we're doing the show 10 years from now, we're going to be talking about, you guys remember when Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price just absolutely went off against USC? That's the new standard for just truly elite play. In what it was before, it was Reggie and Jerome Bettis in 1992. I think this one surpassed that.
You guys have covered it very, very well. My only addition to this conversation, and I put it in kind of our group text during the game, was like, everybody in the stadium knew that Notre Dame was going to run the ball, including USC, and they still ran the ball whenever they wanted and did whatever they wanted. Like, that's that's domination. I mean, it was absolute domination on the ground and in the trenches. And it's just, that's what, I hate to say it, but that's what the Notre Dame USC rivalry is for most of my adulthood. And, it just came to fruition once again that USC just can't handle Notre Dame in the trenches.
Vince, I'm struggling, man, to think of what possessed them to come up with this game plan after what this same staff went through with these two backs last year. Like, if you're gonna, why not make the redshirt freshman beat you? Like, I don't know. Like, I get it. Boise's never faced these two backs, and you've played these guys last year, and they annihilated you. They ran for over 200 yards against you last year.
Because
Jeremiah
I think
dominated the first half, Jadarian second. Yeah, it blows my mind, Trev. Go ahead.
I mean, this is pretty outside of the box, but I think Lincoln Riley helped design and worked with DeAnton Lynn a game plan as if he had CJ Carr. Yeah. I think Lincoln Riley is so pass happy and focused on it that he's like, well, I mean, I wouldn't use my running backs. I don't think he used Quentin Joyner and Woody Marks enough, personally. And I think that just kind of took a little bit over of him today. I think Lincoln Riley helped design a defensive game plan as if he were calling plays for CJ Carr and Malachi Fields and Eli Raridan, and didn't account for two of the best running backs in college football. Now, I'm with you. I don't really know how you make that mistake after last year, but I think that he was just under the assumption of, well, they also didn't have CJ Carr last year, and we think they're going to try to throw it all over the yard, I guess, which
So that makes a ton of sense for the first half. I said in my instant analysis, I expect USC to make adjustments. Notre Dame's going to have to counter those adjustments, and they didn't really. Like, they really didn't. And Notre Dame shot themselves in the foot in the second half. And that's the thing about this offense, guys, as we wrap this up. This could have been so much worse for USC.
Oh, absolutely.
If it wasn't for there was one touchdown drive USC got where, like, literally the only thing they did was score the touchdown. Everything else was penalties.
That happened on more than one occasion where drives were extended because
the one I'm thinking of, the penalty, the pass, there was two pass interference penalties on Christian Gray tonight that were absolute bull crap. Just absolute bull crap. And the guy that's throwing the flag is from like 30, 40 yards down the field. And, but I just expected D'Anton Lynn, who's a good football coach, to just make adjustments in the second half. And they really did. I mean, they did. They slanted a little bit more and brought linebackers, but they really didn't make any significant changes. They still kept, five guys out of the box the entire game. They just didn't really, they just didn't really come and say, hey, man, like, we see what you're doing. We see your 183 yards at the half, and we're going to make sure you don't do that. And I just was a little surprised by that. I really was. But
I feel like they doubled down and like, well, we're just not executing right. Or, it's like they just doubled down and they're like, well, there's no way they could repeat that performance.
Especially with the rain in the second half, Vince. Like,
it was pouring.
Yeah.
I think they had a similar dilemma that Notre Dame had as a staff defensively when we were talking about Makai Lemon all week. And we were talking about, I think we saw it. I think it was effective having Leonard Moore defend him, but it caused some confusion when USC lined up in certain formations. And you saw that they didn't know who had who. Leonard Moore is in the slot. Who has who? Am I in the boundary? Am I in the field? And you live with that because ultimately, you were affecting what USC wanted to do enough and taking away their biggest target. I think they're ranked, 104th against the run, and then both of their defensive backs were bottom 7 in all the college football and coverage. So, but both of your safeties are really good. One's leading the nation in interception, and Ramsey is like a projected first, second round pick in an NFL draft. So that's your strength. So are we going to use our safeties to help our pass coverage, or are we going to use our safeties to stop this run game that's going to be effective anyway? And I think they just made the choice to help out their defensive backs. That's the choice they made. We're going to help our defensive backs. and then hope that, we can hold these guys to. They probably thought if they held Notre Dame to 5 yards a pop, they would be okay. Like if we hold them to 5 yards a pop, we'd be okay. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case.
It was just silly for you to think you were going to hold them to 5 yards a pop. Like you know what it is? Somebody in the chat said this, guys, and I think this is a legitimate point. It's a great point. I think the game last week against Michigan gave them a false sense of who they were in the trenches.
They thought they were tougher than they are.
Yes, I think they said, well, we did this to Michigan.
Right.
This is the most trench-driven program in college football, and I want to be like, well, Jim Harbaugh's in Los Angeles now, guys. This isn't that team anymore. But like, I think they really felt like, hey, we did this to Michigan, guys. We can go out there and beat Notre Dame like that, and Notre Dame quickly let them know, like, guys, we aren't Michigan. Like, that's not going to work.
You don't even have to speculate that that's what they thought, because they were saying it in the media. They were basically. Exactly. They put it right out there, like, "Oh, we're tough. We just handed it to Michigan." Like, okay, guys, that's not the Michigan you think they are. So that's a thing. But whatever. Come on over. We'll show you what it really is like to be a tough football team. Come on over to Notre Dame, Indiana, and we'll show you what's up. But hey, it is what it is. So, good performance by Notre Dame offensively. We're going to break it down more and upon further review tomorrow and on Monday. So make sure you stick around for that. You want to be a member of the boards at boards.irishbreakdown.com so that you get all of the upon further review and more. I should not have read your text as I was trying to do that close. But anyway, make sure you stick around. We got much more to come. We got to talk a little defense next. All right, everybody. Welcome to the defensive edition of the Irish Breakdown podcast presented by FanDuel. And we are going to talk about this defense. And to be honest, fellas, this defense, at times it was like, yeah, let's get it. And then at times it was like, oh, dang it.
Yeah.
So, I think there's a lot to break down here defensively, guys. Brian, it's your turn to go first, sir.
Yay!
Yeah, give me your thoughts on the defense.
This was one of the weirdest games to evaluate for the defense because there was so much good from the defense in this game, but the bad was bad. And you had not just the penalties. You could say, okay, the officiating hurt you. And even like the 59-yard was a 59-yard TD that Christian Gray gave up. It's like after getting called for like 3 bogus pass interferences, you're like, well, you wonder why he's not trying to get hands on, because he's like, anytime I touch the guy, they call it throw a freaking flag. Like, it was, and again, that doesn't mean it justifies Christian not playing that burst corner better, but you get to the point. But like, there was blown coverages tonight. There was a play they ran like an action play, and I think it was a Don Schuler or Kingston, one of the two. I think it was a Don, but they were both. One of those two would have made the mistake. Just turn a guy loose up the field. Again, it could have been Kingston, but I think it was, a Don Schuler that made the mistake. There was a play where Christian is covering an over route, and Tay doesn't come down and take the over. He should have. Everybody's looking at Christian Gray like, oh, Christian Gray sucks. He gave up another big play. No, that's on Tay. Like, Tay's got to, you're now in his zone. You got to come down and take that route. And, so like there was a lot of stuff like that went on tonight. And that's where a lot of USC's yard came from. And stuff like that, like, look, yeah, you're going to have to get back in the drawing board and break down the film and clean that up. But you take away like 8 plays, this defense played great, and it's just one of those things that there were times I thought they got a little bit too passive with their coverage on the outside. They gave USC some easy completions in times when they shouldn't have. They had a 3rd and 8 that they just allowed Tanook Hines to just run to the sticks and get open against zone. So some of that stuff I didn't like, but there still was a lot of aggressiveness. There was plenty of times where, they took away the initial read. They forced Jaden Maeba to go to a second read. Like there was one particular play. It was the interception to Christian Gray. and they're like, I think it was Ian, what's his name? Ian Eagle, or was it Noah Eagle?
Noah.
Mhm.
Noah, I was kind of listening to the replay on the afterwards, and he was talking about, he was a good position, but that ball was behind him. And he goes like, the pass rush didn't get home. And I'm like, yeah, the pass rush actually did its job. Because what you guys got to understand is the pass rush is, as we say this all the time, Sean, the pass rush is not always designed. It's not either sack or it's a failure. You're meant to impact the offense. And they were coming up the middle, and he rushed his throw and threw off his back foot because of the pressure. And that's why that ball was late or behind and why it had no juice on it. They impacted Maeva a lot. I mean, he threw for 328 yards, guys, but he threw 42 passes to get those yards. I mean, there was big plays. Trevor, you and I talked about it. Like, you've got to limit the big plays. And they needed to do a better job on that. We're going to give them a minus. But what's different about this performance compared to the A&M performance is they eliminated a lot of the 10 to 20s that were just ripping them up in other games. And when USC did drive, they were able to settle down and make some big plays. And in the second half, this defense was super clutch, making plays. And you guys know I've been very hard on Chris Ash and the defensive staff, but like their preparation for some of the trick stuff that USC was trying to do was excellent. Drake Bowen just blowing up a couple screens, all over the running backs. Kingston blew up a screen. Jalen Sneed played was a playmaker tonight. The linebackers were outstanding. But then like a Don, they motion away from a Don, so he just run fires and blows up a run. But the play that really turned the game completely around, USC hits that big play, and they run that reverse. And if you watch that play, like you guys remember last year when they tried a trick play and it was just 10 guys going this way and then Xavier read it and blew it up? You go back and watch that play. Kingston, Junior Tuilamaka, and a Don Schuler all read that play and blew it up. Kingston and Junior taking up blockers to that call allowed a Don to get a free run to the guy, to Makai Lemon, and blow it up. That's when Lincoln Riley flinched. And they were absolutely – and there was nobody open down the field. Like Notre Dame had that play sniffed out. That's great execution by the players. But, guys, they were prepared for that stuff. So they're running action away. Makai comes on reverse, but the tight end starts working out, and Kingston sees that, and he's like, something's coming. And so he just stays backside and engages that blocker, even though it looked like they were running away. That was, you were prepared for those type of things from this offense, and did a great job. We talked about this, guys. The first time that Al Golden went against Lincoln Riley, it didn't go well for him. First time Chris Ash went against Lincoln Riley, it went well for him. And USC got theirs because this is a great offense. And they did a great job. And Marcus Freeman talked about after the game, he goes, we wanted to make them one-dimensional. And they absolutely did. And you could look at the 320 yards and be like, yeah, pass defense wasn't good. And there were 4 or 5 just bad plays from the pass defense tonight. Sometimes USC guys just made plays. But they made them throw 42 passes tonight. The first half you got Makai's just following, or Leonard Moore's following Makai around. Second half, they didn't do that as much. USC's guys made some plays. Notre Dame's guys made a lot more plays. But Trev, going back to the beginning of what Trev said, what this ultimately came down to tonight is, for all the good things I loved at linebacker and secondary, this ultimately came down to Notre Dame's defensive line beat the ever-living heck out of USC's offensive line. And this is an improved USC offensive line. And they could not block Boubacar all night. I mean, he was a monster tonight. Trev, you and I talked about this. They needed Jared Dawson to step up big with Gabe Ruby out, and they couldn't block him. They could not block him. And, Bryce Young probably had his best game of the season tonight. They just swarmed USC. And even when they didn't, quote unquote, get home, they were pushing the pocket back, and Jaden Maeva just wasn't super comfortable in the pocket and missed some opportunities for maybe even more plays. So At the end of the day, USC got theirs at times, but they were 7.8 yards per pass attempt in this game. That's a win against USC. That's an absolute win against USC. And so I think last year USC went for 7.3 yards per pass play. Same kind of thing, right? Like, yeah, they're going to get their yards, but make them throw a ton of passes and force a lot of incompletions and turnovers. Because eventually, if you keep them out of the end zone, eventually the quarterback's going to make a big mistake. That's exactly what happened tonight. And so, great job by this defensive staff to have this unit prepared to play in certain areas. And just got to clean up some of the other stuff, but. These guys, Vince, these guys played their tails off too. Like, they played hard tonight. They were physical tonight. And that's why you can make the mistakes they made, just blown coverages, and still hold USC under 400 yards, still hold them to 24 points, because they were playing their tails off, making a lot of plays, stuff we weren't seeing from them in the first 3 weeks. And this was the litmus test, as we said during the week, Trev. And if this is the litmus test, this group passed it. They weren't perfect, and I'm sure there's a lot of stuff Chris Ash going to be, because like the guys, they should have had 70 yards. We gave them, just gave them because of mistakes. Okay, clean it up, make it better. But the foundation that we saw tonight is what is carried this team the last 3 games, and I'm glad they scored 24 points too, guys, because none of us wanted to see me dancing at the beginning of the show. No one wanted to hear Sean. Trev and I said in the Thursday show that if Notre Dame held USC to 7 or less points, I was going to dance while he sang the fight song. Nobody wanted to hear that. So
I was unaware.
When they got 10 points in the first quarter, I was like, all right, we're good. We're good.
I was unaware.
Yeah, but very impressed with the performance.
Since I usually go last, there's just one thing I want to bring up that I thought about the defense. Overall, I think this was they've been playing hard and physical the last few games. And so now it's come to be something that I expect. And so, they did a good job of that again today. So that's part number one. Part number two, I think this is the most prepared mentally that this team has been all season, because they didn't get fooled by anything today. There was the one time where they didn't line up, against the one wide receiver, and they threw him and he was wide open, So, I mean, there was things like that. But like, when they were trying to, do some play action, and they were trying to do some, like, Notre Dame was extremely well prepared. I felt like the defense operated in that they didn't see anything that they hadn't already seen, that they weren't already prepared for. And they executed that for the most part. So I thought this was a very well prepared team today defensively. And I don't think I thought that throughout the season, but I felt like that tonight overall. So that was a good piece.
You didn't think that the last couple weeks?
I don't
think those were just easier offenses to prepare for?
Yeah, I think there was more wrinkles tonight, and I thought they were prepared for those wrinkles. Yeah,
because Trev and I talked about that last week. We said I think the talent at NC State is very comparable to the talent at USC.
Okay,
and I actually think top to bottom, the difference is Lincoln Riley.
Yes,
he's
a
right.
tremendous play caller and play. What
was the comment we made? If the NC State players were at USC, the points and the yards would look pretty much the same.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much what we talked about is
do for USC. Go ahead, Trev.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much what we talked about was NC State doesn't have a Mekhi Lemon, but you can make the argument that NC State's 2 through 4 is better than USC's, or as good as USC's 2 through 4. So it's comparable. I'm taking Hollywood Smothers over King Miller, honestly, I'm taking Hollywood Smothers over Eli Sanders or Wayman Jordan. But yeah, it was give or take.
Yeah. So that's that. We're kind of supporting your point, Vince.
No. Trevor, thoughts on the defense?
I mean, not a whole lot that really wasn't shared already. I mean, it was a solid performance. They did what they needed to. Earlier in the week, I talked about the differences between USC at home and on the road, and their numbers, were very drastically different. Points per game at home were 52. Points per game on the road was 32.5. Notre Dame held them under 32.5. Total offense at home was 591. Total offense on the road was 475. Notre Dame held them under that. Rushing yards at home was 263.7. On the road, it was 152.0. Notre Dame held them under that. And like we said, the only thing that remained consistent was their passing yards on the road, which was 323. They went 5 yards over that, but it took Jade Maeva 44 attempts to get there, I think. The other third down conversions on the road was 43.9. Notre Dame held them to 42% on third down. So it should look, this defense checked the boxes that we needed to. We have now accepted the premise that this is just, it's going to look different week to week than it was in 2024. And tonight, what we saw for the first time, really this season, I would argue, is that in the crucial moments, this Notre Dame defense made the stop. Had to. Mm-hmm. And they didn't against Texas A&M. They didn't against Miami. And I just, yeah, sure. At times you stiffened up against Purdue. You should have. At times you stiffened up against Boise State when you had to. You should have. But tonight, in a big moment, national stage, under the lights against your arch rival, this defense stepped up to the plate and succeeded. This is the third game in a row this defense has had at least 3 turnovers. And we were talking before about, they did it against, did it against Boise State, did it against NC State, but now you go and do it against an offense like this. Yeah, that's not bad. So overall, things to work on, like we talked about with the offense, but defensively, they took another step in the right direction. Just because they didn't play a perfect game, and I'm not saying anybody on this channel is saying this, but just because a unit didn't play a perfect game doesn't mean they didn't do things to take the necessary steps in the right direction. Yeah. And that's what this defense showed me. Because now there's not another offense on their schedule, with the exception of Navy, which is just a different challenge in itself. I just don't see another offense on the schedule that's going to challenge this defense the way that USC did, between talent and play callers and moment of the game. I'm not saying that, a Desmond Reed can't have a good game against Notre Dame when they travel out and play them in Pittsburgh. But all encompassing, this was a really impressive performance. And situationally, they did some things tonight that I still needed to see, and they did it.
Sean, bring us home on the defense.
Yeah, I think after the Purdue second half, we said there were some things we saw that if they continue to trend that way, it would bode well for the defense. And one was being able to create turnovers, right? And secondly was being better up front with your games, your stunts, more discipline, and then backside having good coverage. And I think week to week we've seen that. We knew that this opponent would challenge that. And I think Marcus Freeman in the presser said, we decided that we were going to focus on shutting down the run. And our guys knew that they were going to be in a lot of coverage man-to-man tonight. And they were going to have to step up to that challenge. And then when you add in what they wanted to do specifically with Mekhi Lemon and Leonard Moore covering him, it was going to cause a problem. I think USC took advantage of some miscommunication early on that led to those 10 points. But like, the guys pointed out, penalties really aided a lot of the other things that they were able to accomplish offensively. So when you really look at it big picture, the defense did an incredible job. Once again, the trend that they started with Arkansas was that they take a team, and they mentioned on the broadcast, and they keep them under their averages in total yards and points by a considerable margin. And once again, they did that with another opponent. And so that bodes well. And I think we're starting to see Chris Ash actually become comfortable with coming off of what he wants to do and understanding what his players can do and what really makes them best. Like it could be, Marcus Freeman has talked about it. It can be difficult, coming in the transition of someone new, making the play calls in their system, but the stick-to-itiveness and the work ethic that they've shown to get better as the players. And I think when you see that, another trend that we saw in the last game, we talked about it against North Carolina State, it didn't matter. And it bodes well, especially when you found out about Gabriel Rubio. We talked about that front four. It didn't matter who came in. Everyone was making plays at different points in the game. And you need that type of effort and mindset. Oh man, David Rubio's not playing. That's our guy against the run. It matters because the mindset is whoever gets in there, hey, you make a play. This play is you. The next play is another guy. And so just that mindset and that culture that's been set, was perfect for a game like this and went accordingly with whatever they wanted to do defensively against this team. I think they did look. I said it early in the week. I didn't want. I think Brian, we had this conversation. I was like, man, I just really don't want to overreact to Mekhi Lemon. Like, all right, he's a really good receiver. I just hope they don't overreact. And then, like the next day after thinking about it, I was like, you know what? Yeah, using Leonard Moore to stick him in certain situations, I was like, yeah, I feel better about that, right? Depending upon how they do it and when they do it situationally. But I just think they forced, as Brian pointed out, they took away the screen game. Like Lincoln Riley wants to, run the ball. He wants to run counter. He wants to hit you. The action with the tight end, the wham action is going one way, and they're really running it the opposite direction. Like he does a really great job with like eye candy window dressing, but kind of getting you to like leave the edge open on the opposite side. They got Notre Dame one time with Miller on one of those plays. But other than that, the screen game was shut down. Leonard Moore makes a great play when they tried to set up Mekhi Lemon on the screen. And Drake Bowen I hope all of these people that were detractors of Drake Bowen are starting to realize that he's becoming a darn good player. He's becoming I knew he was a good player.
Yeah.
But I hope they realize in their eyes that he's becoming a darn good player. And having him and KBA on the field at the same time is just and Jalen Sneed has come alive.
He played his tail off tonight.
He played his tail off.
There was one series show. It was the Jalen Sneed series.
Yes.
Like he has the pressure, and then the next play they try to run inside zone, and he just beats this guy across his face and blows the play up. You're like,
absolutely. Okay. And then tonight was kind of a night for Trev. You pointed it out earlier. Bryce Young, had a coming out a little bit. And I love when they put him, I believe it was him and Jared Dawson or him and Armel on the inside in pass rushing situations. I was like, yo, that's definitely something that you can use moving forward. I just think Chris Ash is really starting to discover everything in the toolbox.
With some prodding.
Of course.
Be real.
But yeah. But I think
is there some push from Freeman and Mickens and others to say, hey man, you need to be more aggressive? He still got to call plays.
Yeah. Dallas Golden with the big play down the sideline with the pass defended. I mean, all these everybody's just he's getting more confident. He's getting more confident. And that him and Tay coming from like center field to make the play that he made, like dude.
It's just one of those like our dudes, Sean, are better than your dudes. It's as simple as that.
And then in the post-game presser, I was shocked to hear Lincoln Riley say, we panicked a little bit. I thought we panicked.
No. We did not panic. Panicked.
I'm quoting him.
I know. I love it. I'm calling him out. I love when coach say, we. No. Bro, you did this. That's the difference between Marcus Freeman and Lincoln Riley. When something happens because of what Marcus Freeman did, he will say, I didn't do this. I did this. We panicked a little bit tonight. No, bro. You panicked tonight. You panicked. Please continue, Sean. I just love bashing that guy. He's like I just right under Brian Kelly for me.
They were physical. They played with intensity. And like you said, the turning point where Marcus Freeman says, like, dude, the next play. You have to have the next play mentality going up against a team that's going to be able to make plays based upon what you're giving them. They have talented, skilled position guys. I mean, that touchdown of McCree, that's a heck of a throw, and that's a heck of a catch in the corner. That's just, I mean, you could talk about Adon. Dude, that's just a darn good throw by a quarterback and a heck of a catch by a big tight end. You tip your cap, move on. And I think in several instances, you saw this team or players that have been taken advantage of by USC come back and make plays. And that's what you have to do. And Marcus Freeman talks about it all the time. So defensively, I'm just looking forward to them getting healthy. I'm looking forward to them kind of re-energizing themselves and come out, against Boston College and continue to grow as a defense. If they play this type of defense and play this fast and this physical and being able to if they make a play, move on and be able to make a play to negate that, that's exactly what they did. They get the mistake from Tay and Christian Gray, and then they get the big play to Mekhi Lemon, and then they turn right around and this, like you said, what in the world? The fourth down call, where they tried to get McCree out in the flat, and then the end around, that was Lincoln Riley flinching. I got 4th and inches, and I call this, and then I come back after this big play, and instead of continuing to attack them downfield, I try to get cute. It's that's when he knew. He didn't believe. They forced him to not believe in his offensive line. I don't think we can get that. I don't think we can get it. So
great job by Kingston and Adon on that play too, by the way. And then Jalen Sneed with the pursuit to not let Maeva be able to tuck and run.
Mm-hmm.
That's the same. It's one thing to say, hey, look, we got talented players. It's another thing, and this has been a big part of what Marcus Freeman and his staff have done from a recruiting standpoint. So we got smart, talented football players. Yeah, Kingston and Drake Bowen are and Jalen C. Kingston Drake are not just talented football players, which they are. They're also very smart football players. Adon Schuler is not just a smart football player; he's also a talented football player, and that's what makes this team dangerous. And this is who this defense should have been all year. And that 4th down play, though, Sean, you are spot on. That's Lincoln Riley flinching. That's Lincoln Riley saying we got to do something special. But again, it just goes back to our dudes are better than your dudes kind of thing. If you're Notre Dame, you run his 4th down mess, but you're still going to get stopped because our dudes are better than your dudes.
So, again, we will break down the film once we get into it, Brian and I, tomorrow on Upon Further Review, and then again on Monday for the video version of Upon Further Review. But you only get that if you're over on the boards at boards@irishbreakdown.com. So you definitely want to check that out. And again, this is the Irish Breakdown Podcast presented by FanDuel. And we still have some Super Chats to get to, and so we're going to do that next. So make sure you stick around. All right, our final part of the show, gentlemen, on the Irish Breakdown Podcast presented by FanDuel is we are going to sift through all of the Super Chats. And remember, on the post-game show, Super Chats are really the only way you're going to get your comment up. It's been a long day, and we still have more to do. And so we're going to get after these Super Chats. We're going to answer your questions. We're going to have some fun with this. We got a bunch kind of sitting here in the queue. And so we're going to get after these. And again, if you want to send one in, please, by all means, do it, and we will answer your question. But this will be the final segment of the show, gentlemen.
Hey, let's get started off with Tyler Evans. Tyler, Super Chat. Notre Dame wins and LSU with the L today was amazing. Hey, Trev, I also had another question for you. That game that was played today in Iowa City, do you remember what – I know that Penn State was winning for a while. Do you remember what the score was of that game? Do you remember how – did you know how that finished?
Penn State game.
Oh yeah, who ended up winning that game?
Hawkeyes, baby.
Hawkeyes. Okay, interesting.
So
really?
Good God.
25-24, I think.
Brian Kelly's 0 against his former assistants. Okay, it's good. Penn State called another L today. It's a good day. I just got one thing to say. This is the most petty thing I'm going to say tonight. LSU fans, I love you, but I told you so.
So what you're
told you so. I warned you.
What you're telling me, and I just want to be clear, what you're telling me is Penn State still hasn't beaten a Power 4 team, and their next game is against Ohio State.
Yeah, they've beaten as many Power 4 teams as we have, guys. Me, you, Trev, and Sean.
And their next game after that is IU. So it might be a minute before they get a Power 4 win.
Yeah.
And who knows what's going to happen against Michigan State. So, but yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there. We will have eclipsed the month of October before Penn State gets a Power 4 win. So I just want to throw that out there. Just,
Yep.
Okay.
Enjoyed that one.
Mm-hmm.
And, I thoroughly enjoyed, I haven't watched the game yet, but looking at the box score and seeing that Brian Kelly's team got ran all over by Vanderbilt was pretty awesome. I can't wait to go back and watch that game. So
it's unacceptable. I'm sorry.
Yep.
It's unacceptable.
Yep.
And if I
Speaking
was
of games, props to Trev for calling. Go ahead, Vince.
Oh, I was just going to say, just since we're talking about Vanderbilt here real quick, if I'm the athletic director at any school with a coaching opening, I'm backing up the Brinks truck for Clark Lee to try to get him out of Nashville, which is going to be very difficult to do.
If Vandy's smart, they'll do with him what Indiana did with Signetti.
Completely agree. Completely
agree.
Early.
I don't know that Clark Lee will leave there. I really don't know that he'll leave there.
Yeah.
If they pay him just good money, I don't think they got to max out because he loves that place.
I know he does.
I mean, he loves Vanderbilt. It's where he played. I think he loves it. See, that's what made Clark Lee successful at Notre Dame. It's because he likes recruiting that type of student athlete.
Sure.
Guys that valued more than just football. I think he's a great fit there. As long as Vanderbilt's willing to take care of him and his staff, I don't think he'll leave. But you also need to make sure you don't alienate him by not doing what Signetti did. And maybe LSU could try to hire him.
I'm just saying, I think he could have a lot of success someplace. I'm just saying. But I agree with everything that you're saying on the kind of guy he wants to recruit, all of those things. Yeah. Nashville's a good place to raise a family. Like all of those things.
So's Baton Rouge. Maybe he could go there and replace his former boss. He ain't going to win there.
I'd become an LSU fan. I don't know how I feel about that.
I tried to tell you. Y'all didn't want to listen.
I've seen some people on social media apologizing to you.
Guy apologized. Yeah, I've seen a couple. Yeah.
Which is fantastic.
Expect a lot more.
AK, thank you for the super chat. He says, just thanks for everything you guys do. Thanks for what you do, AK. We
appreciate you, AK.
Josh Phillips, thanks for the super chat. I experienced every emotion in this game. Go Irish.
Trev, I'm curious. Like, I'll be honest with you guys. I really was never all that worried in this game. Even like when they took the 24-21 lead, it was kind of like I just felt like this Notre Dame team's just got a different aura to them the last month. I honestly wasn't worried. Like, I thought it was going to be a competitive game. Like, when they missed the field goal when it was 27-24, it's like, okay, it's going to be getting there. But I thought USC had a chance to maybe win it, but I wasn't nervous. I wasn't like, oh no. Like, I don't know, Trev. Like to Josh's point, I haven't really felt that the last couple games with this team, and or even the Boise game when they fell behind. I don't know. Trev, you agree, disagree? Like, I didn't have the emotional roller coaster. I just kind of always felt like they're going to figure out a way to win this football game, which is wild. Because if you'd have told me that after game 2, Trev, I'd have been like, I don't know if this team is going to beat anybody good with this defense. What are your thoughts on that, Trev?
Yeah, I felt that way after the kick return. I mean, I'll be real. I had zero concerns of Notre Dame losing to Boise State or NC State. Like, I'll be real about that. Like, in my mind, it was a question of how much. And I don't mean that as a disrespect to Boise State or NC State. It's just the talent level at Notre Dame is just that much different. It is. We saw tonight that it was against USC. But I think there's levels to this game, and I think that Notre Dame's defense going up against this offense combined with Lincoln Riley as a play caller is just a little bit different than Boise State. And I think it's a little bit different than NC State. I have a lot of respect for NC State. CJ Bailey's a good football player. Hollywood Smothers is a good football player. But this rivalry is a little different because in one hand, I can't say you kind of throw out resume and record and all that when it's a rivalry game and then also say, So feelings got put a little bit at ease after probably Notre Dame's first offensive possession. And then when CJ Carr threw the answer. And then when CJ Carr threw the pick, I got pretty pissed. That was terrible. Like, I know it was a redshirt freshman mistake, but that was just kind of flat out bad. So, I don't know if I went as much as of a roller coaster because I didn't really experience every emotion from this game, but it was definitely a little bit back and forth of like, all right, I feel better. All right, I don't feel as good. Oh, I feel better.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I feel less good. And then when JD took the kick return to the house, that was a straw that broke the camel's back, in my opinion. I was like, yeah, that's wraps.
It was frustration at times, but
Yeah.
I was never like I was waiting for Notre Dame to just kind of extend the lead and like put USC out of their misery. Like I don't know. I just never felt like the ball could have bounced away and then Notre Dame loses the game or whatever. But I just never felt that way. I just felt like Notre Dame kept shooting themselves in the foot and not extending the lead. Like that's where I was in this game. So
didn't you feel the same way against the last two opponents?
Yeah, 100%.
When it was close against Boise, we're gonna win this game.
Right.
It was close against North Carolina State. I'm not. This game isn't in jeopardy.
Exactly.
It's like you felt the same way tonight.
And to Trev's point, like USC is a much better team than those teams, and I totally get that. But I just kind of felt like they were going to make a play. And the kick return, Trev, is like that's exactly why I just kind of felt like at some point in time this team was going to win this game because they were just going to make a play. And if you'd have told me I'd have felt that way after game 2, I'd have been like, you need to stay. Put the pipe down, my friend, because that ain't going to happen. But, yeah, they just team find it. That's the thing is this team is really kind of not playing. They haven't played close to their A game in a minute in every phase. Defense has played their A game a couple times. Offense has played their A game a couple times. But this team puts it all together. Good night. I like this one from Alex Udell, Vince.
Thanks for the super chat, Alex. At this point, the ACC refs need to be investigated. They just need to be fired. It's time to just clean house.
Am I nuts for thinking Malachi, that was a catch by Malachi Fields? His toe gets down in the green, and then his back of his foot hits the white. That's supposed to be the toe comes down in the green. That's the play. If your foot then comes down in the white, if it comes down at the same time, but if your toe comes down in the green first, which to me it clearly did, and like I don't know if Christian Gray intercepted that pass or not. I think it is.
Well,
I think it is. In college,
the IU game, the exact same thing happened. They called it incomplete because his foot came down out of bounds.
Yeah.
The guy from NBC
came down.
The guy from NBC, this guy that they have on the games, he actually agreed with you. Yeah, because he said the rule is, if the toe hits and then the side of the foot hits out of bounds, then they count it as, 1 foot in. But he did say
the college rule is different than the NFL rule.
Yeah, he did say based upon what happened, he didn't see it being overturned. He was like, it's just one of those things where you don't have clear evidence, so he felt like it would stand. And
yeah, it was a roundabout explanation to say they're going with the call on the field.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
but it was crazy. The fact that he caught it.
It's a heck of a ball too.
That's a heck of a ball on the run from CJ as well.
Great. That's a heck of a play.
Yeah.
But like the Christian Gray interception. I don't know if there's an interception or not. But I'll say this: there was more evidence that he intercepted that pass than there was that the NC State kid caught that ball on the sideline last week. It's so bad, guys. It's just the ACC officiating sucks. It absolutely sucks. We saw it last night too. Did you guys see that roughing the passer penalty they called on Louisville last night? It was ridiculous. That was worse than the Jason Onye roughing the passer. It's a joke. They're an absolute joke. It's just like the 2 interceptions they gave Notre Dame that they overturned. On what planet should those have ever even been called interceptions for Notre Dame? Like the one for Adon, I'm watching the one for Adon in the goal line. Did you just see Adon had the ball, just assumed he intercepted it, and so we'll just call an interception and review it? It's a joke, man. It's an absolute joke, and it's every week. And if you watch Miami Louisville last night, you realize it's not only I think Notre Dame gets a bad end of the ACC officiating stick, but they also suck also. On top of what I think kind of intentionally screwing over. I hate to be that guy. It sounds so unprofessional, but I don't have anything else to. USC had 1 false start, and Notre Dame had 8 penalties for 96 yards. And I agree with you, Alex.
Benny J, thanks for the super chat. I'm sure Spell loves seeing the running back room feasting.
Yes. Yeah. Keemon Spell's a dude, Benny J, but don't sleep on Amir Brown either. He's a dude.
That's a kid
He's
from
an
North
absolute
Carolina,
dude.
right? Or
Yes.
he was
Yes.
committed to North Carolina.
Yes. Yep. And then they had a 2028 running back on campus that Trev and I were watching film of yesterday. Zayden Jernigan, that is an absolute freak in the 28 class. And Mark Edwards' son, Xander Edwards, who's a 6'2", 225-pound running back in the 28 class that had 8 touchdowns a couple weeks ago and down in Florida. So there were some stud running backs on campus this weekend. Stud running backs.
Tyler Evans, thanks for the super chat. Love hurts, and you pay the price. Hunter Hall, thanks for the super chat. We have an opportunity at a home playoff game. Go Irish. It's possible because there's been chaos literally the last 3 weeks in a row in college football. And as long as Notre Dame keeps winning, that's obviously a good thing. With 2 losses, I think it's going to be tough to have a home game, but you just got to get in. Just get in. Just get in.
I mean, Ohio State hosted last year with 2 losses.
True.
And here's why I say, so last year going into the 7th game, they were ranked 12th. This year going into the 7th game, they were ranked 13th. To your point, it's all the chaos. The other thing too about last year is Ohio State was actually the 6th seed at 2 losses. Tennessee was the 7th seed with 2 losses, but they got bumped down 2 spots because the 2 conference champs leaped them who were ranked behind. So last year, if they had the same seeding last year that they have this year, there'd have been 2 2-loss teams that would have hosted. Ohio State would have hosted, and Tennessee would have hosted. So because of the chaos that's already happened, and we're not even out of October yet, if they went out, they'll host. The only question to me is, will they be 5, 6, 7, or 8? And I would probably argue, based on right now, they'll be closer to 7 or 8 than 5. But there's going to be a lot of 2 and 3 loss teams at the end of the year, guys.
Yeah,
a lot.
It's going to be an interesting debate when you start comparing and contrasting all of these, 2 to 3 loss teams and all of those things, because I think it's going to be very, very interesting. And to that point, I didn't care how Notre Dame won this game as long as they won this game. But I know they need style points and all of that. But I just wanted them to get a win. That's all I cared about. Yeah. Just get a win, get out of here, get to your bye week, and get to the rest of the schedule. Just get a W. That's what matters.
Get your bye 5-2.
Yeah, man. Just get the dub. ND Lou 22. Thanks for the super chat. Great to see the defense come in clutch a few times in this game. If one of those stalled offensive drives ended in points, this game looks completely different. Absolutely agree with you.
Dude, if they just made their kicks, this game looks completely different. It's 38-24 if they could just make a freaking kick.
Yep.
It's kind of been the story of Notre Dame's offense in the month of October.
Yeah.
If you could finish in the red zone, if you didn't throw this red zone interception, if you didn't run Wildcat on this play for whatever godforsaken reason, if you didn't do this, then the outlook would look a lot different. If they should have beaten Boise State 42-7, not 28-7, but it's all in the all in the journey back. All in the journey back.
Mm-hmm. I love this one. JWB07 with super chat. Thank you, JWB07. Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price equals Andre 3000 and Big Boy. Great compliment or perfect compliment? Go Irish. It's a good one. That was a great complimentary duo out. That's Outcast, Vince. Do you remember Outcast?
Well, I remember that they existed, yes.
You always hurt me with those things, Vince. You always hurt me.
Just not a music guy, man. I'm sorry. Sean makes fun of me literally daily for that.
This Sean or Sean Steyer?
The other one. He comes up with these references, and I just have the clueless look on my face. So
do you not listen to music?
Never.
So okay.
I'm a podcast guy.
That's
we
fair.
can we can get into my ridiculous likes and dislikes this another time.
No, we just figured we'd judge you for the next 20 minutes, and then we'll move on to the next.
I'm a big oldies fan. It's what I grew up listening to in my family's car. So that's
what's crazy is Outcast is kind of oldies now, man. That was back in the 90s.
Well,
It's
then I'm the
crazy.
oldies guy, you know.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
Yeah.
Vince is
It's
still.
what it is.
Hey, Sean, Vince is still putting his old Frankie Valley in the Four Seasons 45 on his record player at home. That's what Vince is doing.
Good stuff right there.
Hey,
Talking.
so
Vince is 43 going on 70.
what's your go-to podcast genre, Vince?
What I've been listening to recently is I've been listening to these guys review movies from like nostalgic movies from like the
Okay.
90s and 2000s and stuff.
Okay.
So
Nostalgic movies from the 90s.
Well,
That's
like it's nostalgic because we were kids. Like we were younger, so it's nostalgic to us. Like it's a very pointed demographic.
love it. I love it.
Yeah, so I'm listening to one on. They're doing Varsity Blues right now, so I'm listening to that one. But yeah,
somebody said Vince is he's rocking the 8-track.
I mean, I'm weird.
I love it.
Eric Carroll, thanks for the super chat once again. Notre Dame lets us down.
That's why we love you, dude. That's why we love you.
Once again, Notre Dame lets us down. Doesn't score more points, so we get a higher super chat from people that like to put the score in as a super chat. But we appreciate you, Eric, for the super chat. Gives us the 34-24 super chat. Ugly at times, even considering the weather. Still, any win over SC is a good one. Agreed. Was nice seeing both backs rolling and hope CJ will learn from the interception.
Guys, great teams have to win ugly. You can't always win. I mean, go back and look at Ohio State's game against Nebraska last year. Got to be able to win when you don't have your A and B game. And that's what Notre Dame is doing.
Agreed. ND Lou 22 with another super chat. Say a prayer for Strouth, guys.
Yeah, that second injury did not look good.
I'm very nervous. I was so excited to see him back on the field after the first one.
Yes, because that didn't look right either. He was in so much pain. I'm hoping he just tweaked the first thing that happened.
Yes, agreed.
Because he was, guys, he was so dominant tonight. He was unbelievably dominant tonight.
He was pushing guys around.
I mean, there were plays, and thank you, Seth Ramsack Sr. for the super chat, but there were plays where he was just like blowing guys out of the hole, and Jeremiah Love and Jadarian just kind of cut right off of him. Yeah. He was so good.
Yep.
It's like Gerby was so, I mean, the interior, Joe Otting, Billy Shroud. Amir was solid. I mean, Emil was solid. He wasn't great. Billy was good. He wasn't great. He was good. But the interior guys were dominant tonight in the run game. That was fun to watch.
Eric Carroll.
The same one.
You're right. Charlie Weiss's last belt loop. Thank you for the super chat. Massive win. Wasn't pretty, far from perfect, but incredible win. Love and Price. Wow. The defense stepped up big. But can someone besides Faison get the ball? Seems criminal how Fields is used. Go Irish. There's a lot of attention on Fields too, but yes, I agree. They need to be doing some things to get in the football.
Yeah, I'd agree. That's something Trevor and I are going to talk about in our shows during the bye week. Is they've got to figure out ways as teams start to do more to take away pressure from like with all due respect on that fourth down throw at the end of the game. I'm putting Malachi Fields in the slot and throwing him the ball in that situation. Not your 5'10" guy that if you're a little high, the ball's not going to get caught. That'll be one of our topics of conversation this week is what can they do to start getting Malachi Fields more involved as now that teams are saying, hey, we're not going to let zero beat us.
DJ Holman, thank you for the super chat. Double reverse pass in the rain after Notre Dame shows that they are ready for trick plays last week. Has to be the dumbest play call I've ever seen. Lincoln Riley, offensive genius for the Irish.
I'd love the shade, DJ. I still go with the jet sweep to Chris Brown inside the 5-yard line against Northwestern for a guy that had literally never carried the football in his life. Like that was still a pretty stupid call. Going for 2 when you're already up 11 was, also a pretty stupid call from Brian Kelly. But just reminiscent. Those were just 2 calls from one game against Northwestern. So. Yeah, no, that was not a good call. I mean, but again, that's what to Sean's point. That's though, Sean, what he was talking about. We panicked, and if by we he means me. But yes, double reverse pass. I mean, when you say it like this, it's like DJ double reverse pass in the rain after.
I mean, that's what happened. You're asking your wide receiver to throw the ball to. It was a one-man route, which was covered, and like he's trying to make a play. Like I don't even blame the Lemon kid. Like he's trying to make a play. He was actually trying to get it out of bounds so he wouldn't get sacked. He was just trying to chuck it out of bounds. But like that's just not. You're putting your guys in a bad spot asking for that to happen, man. Like woof. DeVere, thank you for the super chat. Trevor nailed it on the start. O-line nailed it at the start. Line on both sides of the ball dominated. Love and Price did what they do. Also, Love ran extra mad tonight. Stiff arms versus hurdles.
Yeah. Like we were critical of his performance last week in regard to patience and making good reads. But he's run really hard the last few weeks. Like even when he makes mistakes, he's running hard.
Yeah.
And I still can't believe, Trev, how much USC was chirping at him tonight. That was dumb.
And they didn't get called once.
The one time he got hit late, the ref went to grab his flag and then just stopped. I sat there and watched it. That should have been a late hit.
Yes. He gave himself up. He gave himself up and walked out of bounds, and they threw him to the ground.
Guys, it was right in front of our side of the press, but he went to grab his flag and then just ate it.
I just don't get it.
What were you going to say, Trev? Because he was giving the shout out to you about your comment at the start.
Yeah, I guess you had to try to find something to try to throw Jeremiah Love off of his game. I guess that obviously wasn't it. I feel like there's a long list of players on Notre Dame's team that you might be able to get away with talking some smack to, and I don't really think Jeremiah Love should be anywhere near that list.
Right.
I mean, especially after what he did to you in 2 quarters last year. But, I mean, at the end of the day, it is what it is, and you got absolutely cooked.
Jeremiah Love has basically played 6 quarters of football the last 2 years against USC, and he has 327 rushing yards. Maybe you should talk trash to someone else.
Yeah.
Ryan Olenek, thank you very much for the super chat. Go ND. Sorry I couldn't meet y'all at the Boise State game, but there was family to attend to. But honestly, great W, and I'm stoked for the rest of the season.
Yeah, you know, that's what tonight's win, Sean, was about. It's like you needed to get this win so we could go into the bye week and say, okay, now, like Trev and I have talked about this a lot. You know, we don't mention the playoff ramifications for other games that we preview on Thursdays because it's guys, until we get through the USC game, none of that stuff matters. Like playoff talk doesn't matter. You needed to get this win. Now this week we'll talk about the playoffs and things like that. But man, it gives you a little extra juice, Trev, for the rest of the year when you get this win. And you go into the bye week on a 5-game win streak, and you're going to, there's a chance they could be in the top 10 before the next time they play when you consider 3 teams lost above them today. Now, not all of them are going to drop behind Notre Dame, but you're going to have next week too. And I mean, there's 2, 3, 10, top 10 teams every week losing games now. So you needed to get this win, Trev, to be able to say, okay, now we can start thinking about what comes next this season.
Yeah, I mean, we talked earlier in the week about how fans, myself included, were finally starting to believe a little bit again. Like, I'll always shoot people straight, and like the NC State win didn't do that for me. Notre Dame beat NC State 36-7, and I wasn't like, here we go, baby, train's back. I was like, this is a good step in the right direction. But what they do against USC is going to be crucial. And we talked about how, sometimes you got to win ugly. I will take a 10-point ugly win where you have 3 turnovers, you score a touchdown on special teams, and you run rampant all over a defense. If that is winning ugly, this team's about to be disgusting.
Yep.
The schedule sets up nice for disgusting, by the way. Yep. Just throwing that out there. All right, Alex Flagstad. I wonder if that's him just jamming out in that picture. That'd be awesome. Anyway, thank you for the super chat, Alex, USC alum and lifelong Irish fan. Here, my dad feels Sean's pain. Needed this one for bragging rights with a lot of friends. Go Irish.
Yeah, dude. Like kind of like the bragging rights Sean's going to have at Thanksgiving in his household.
Gotta love that. Gotta love that.
Thanks,
Trevor
Alec.
Rocket, our buddy from north of the border. Thank you so much for the super chat. Trevor, appreciate you very much. Nothing sweeter than beating the team out west. Billy Shroud is the best guard in the country, even on one leg. He's dominant. Hats off to Joe Otting. 2 great blocks on the first touchdown drive of the game. Love and Price are just special.
Guys, Joe Otting really played his butt off tonight.
He did. He stepped up, man. Like he stepped up big time. I was impressed with his play.
One more quick shout out too on the offensive line, because I know it's going to get like shuffled behind a little bit. I did not notice a drop off when Billy Shroud had to leave the game and Sullivan Absher came in at left guard. Like, that is a young man who has played pretty much every position so far this season again. And he was granted the opportunity to rotate with Gerby Lambert against Miami. Gerby ended up winning the job. He stayed laser focused and locked in. He came in at left guard, and the interior still remained dominant. Again, worst places to be when your jack of all trades offensive lineman is 6'8", 325. But
yeah,
he also performed really well. And to Sean's point earlier, you can beat Boston College without Billy Shroud. I mean, you could make the argument you could beat. I'm not going to go there, but we're not there yet.
Yes.
But point being,
wrong,
Sullivan Absher had a great game as well.
Did Brian? You had an early in the week? You had a big picture take about the center position. You wrote a piece about or posted it on the board. Without watching the film, did Joe Otting do enough from what you saw to make you rethink how you felt early in the week?
What I said was you make that decision during the bye after this game, but part of it was going to be you're evaluating how Joe plays. And if he can't handle it, then you've got to consider this. But if he plays well, then you're good and you keep rolling that way. The way that Joe played tonight, this is your starting offensive line going into
moving forward.
Yes. Yeah. I mean,
so you don't need to watch the film. That's what I wanted to know. Like, just face value. Watching
because
it there.
just because you know how I do things. Like Trev got to see me last week, kind of how my operation for how I evaluate is. I have the game in front of me, and I have my iPad. I have the game on my iPad. So I'll watch the skill players, and then during the breaks, I'll go back and watch the line. So it allows me to kind of watch more of the line during the game on the, because you can see that on the TV copy better than you can see, the corners and safeties and stuff. And, you just go back and I got like 64 plus. That means he had a plus block, 64 check, and there was a lot more of that in this game. I mean, and just working to the second level. And like you said, just the fact that there was that I can remember, no bad snaps in the rain. So I thought that was a big thing, Sean. So yeah, I mean, of course I could go back and watch film and change my opinion and no, he actually had all these mistakes, but I doubt after 44 carries for 306 yards, and I'm going to go back and be like, you know what? Joe Otting actually wasn't that good. I think the film was going to tell us exactly what we thought watching it live, which was the interior of this offensive line absolutely wrecked. And that's another thing too. It's not even just that when you lose a guy like Ashton Craig, who'd been playing really well for the most part all season. Like Ashton was playing really good football. You lose a guy like that, who's your center. That's your quarterback of the line, guys. I mean, and when you lose that guy and you go into a game with a guy that's never started a game before, it's not just worrying about him. It's, will the entire interior get thrown into a funk? Because, Billy's been working so much with Ashton and Gerby's been working with Ashton, and like, we've got our rhythm, we've got our unit. And this is, who was it that said this? Was it Trev or Sean that said this? But like, if you had never watched Notre Dame before and you watch the interior, you'd think these guys had been playing side by side from game one, the way they played tonight. And that's a big testament to Joe, because he didn't go in there and like kind of screw up the timing and screw things up. He went in there and like didn't miss a beat. And that's what great teams do when you recruit the way that Notre Dame recruits. You can lose a guy as good as Ashton Craig, as valuable as Ashton Craig. Vince has pointed out how many times that, other players talk about how the leader that Ashton Craig is, and not only a great player, but he's a great leader and a great teammate, and all those things are true. And you can lose a guy like that, that's that valuable to your line, and not miss a beat. That's not a shot at Ashton Craig. That's a testament to Joe Otting, and also a testament to Joe Rudolph, who we say it all the time, guys. You do a good job, we're going to praise you. You do a bad job, we're going to criticize you. To lose a guy like him, get Joe Otting ready to play, and make the run game adjustments that he did, and go out there and dominate the way they did tonight, run and pass game, because CJ had, for the most part, a lot of time to throw tonight. This is one of the best offensive line performances we've seen in a while at Notre Dame, and there have been some good ones in recent years, but this was just a dominant all-around performance, and Coach Rudolph deserves some credit for getting this unit ready to play in the conditions they had to play in. But also at the same time, like, you can do whatever you want as a coach, but the kids got to step up there and go make plays and do their job. And Joe was excellent tonight, just absolutely excellent tonight.
Nut crud. Sorry.
It's all good.
Thanks for the super chat. I love J-Love, but there are times when I'm asking for the price change-up. No criticism on the run game tonight, just an embarrassment of riches. Back the dump truck of cash up to Price's house next year.
I have had comments like that, Trev, where in past games where I just felt like the offense was moving better with Jadarian Price. Tonight was absolutely not one of those nights. I had no problem when they put Jadarian Price in, but there wasn't a time where I was like, I think they really need to go to J-Love here, or Jadarian Price here, because J-Love was cooking tonight.
I mean, it was a systematic failure on USC's defensive staff's part, letting Jeremiah Love absolutely work your defense for 60 minutes. It was like
never change.
You go into a game, you think of any premier player in any sport. You think the Bulls in the 90s. It's like we got to do everything we can to limit Jordan going for 60. If we lose because Steve Kerr goes for 30, then I guess we're meant to lose tonight, fellas. But if you lose because you let Michael Jordan score 70 points, then that's a failure. You see it in the NFL. You see it in different sports. And for whatever reason, DeAnton Lynn and the rest of the defensive coaching staff were like, we'll give up stuff in the run game, as if they didn't watch. Notre Dame was, I don't want to say only, I'm kind of saying it to be a little hyperbolic here, but Notre Dame was basically only successful in the run game all of 2024 and made it to the national championship game. And that is what USC decided to let Notre Dame do. That is hilarious. I'm just saying, like, that's wild to me. So whatever.
And piggybacking what you just pointed out, Trev, with the reference to Michael Jordan, it seems like they took a book out of the Pistons when the Pistons would say, let Mike score. We're going to shut everybody else down. That's the way they looked at it. The way to beat the Bulls is to let Mike do what he's going to do because he's a volume shooter. You talked about how many passes it took USC to get to the passing yards they got to. So it was like, let them pass. They're going to win some, we're going to win some. But Notre Dame said, we're going to stop everything else. We're going to stop the screen game. We're going to stop the run game. And so I said this early in the week. Maybe USC didn't pick it up, but I think they did pick it up. This rivalry has had a certain DNA for a long time. And that is the athletes in the first round picks play for USC. The tough guys in the physical team with limited offense is Notre Dame, or limited skill position players is Notre Dame. That's the way Notre Dame has to play great defense, slow the USC offense down, stay in the game, wear them down, and run the ball. That's been the narrative. And then here comes CJ Carr, and he totally blows that narrative up. Like, that narrative doesn't exist anymore. And I think it really messed with the USC coaching staff's mind this week. Like, okay, we're used to facing this type of Notre Dame team, but now They're different, and maybe they kind of overreacted to this new Notre Dame team instead of just doing everything that everybody. Boise State tried to shut the run game down. North Carolina State tried to shut the run game down. Right? They didn't win, but at least they came in and said, "Look, we're going to try to cut the head of the snake off."
Right.
And I just think, Lincoln Riley, like you said, Trev, he probably was very much part of because he probably was looking at it from the standpoint of what was going to best complement what they could do offensively. It's like, this is going to give us the best chance if we can just bend and don't break. If we can bend, give up yards, and not give up touchdowns, and then offensively score touchdowns, then we'll have a better chance to win this game. Right? Yeah. But I think CJ Carr just screwed everything up for them. This was like a Notre Dame. It was like, yo, we're used to having the better quarterback. We're used to having the better passing game. And looking at the stats, we pointed out, like, Notre Dame is just as proficient or efficient in the passing game as USC has been against better competition, in my opinion. That's another thing we have to be honest about. USC hadn't played anybody. They had not played anyone.
They played Michigan. Oh, wait, never mind. Your point's right.
Like I said, they had not played anyone. Right. Dude, Notre Dame has played Miami and Texas A&M, like, out the box. And then had to go on the road and play an Arkansas team that would, at that point, have been one of the best offensive. Notre Dame was.
Can you say something about Arkansas, Sean? I know they have 5 losses now. They've literally been in every game they've played in this year except for one. Their offense has scored on everybody they've played this year except for one. Just saying.
So for me,
A&M beat them, what, 45-42 tonight?
Yeah. They stayed in that game. They stayed in the game the week before. So this is a darn good team, man. I think it's just frustrating. Vince, you said it. It's frustrating at certain parts tonight. In the first 2 weeks were frustrating. The first 2 games were frustrating. That literally is the story about this team. They're so good that it's frustrating in the microcosm and the macrocosm of the season. Like, it's just frustrating at moments because you see how good they can be. And sometimes they just don't give you that. And that's what's frustrating about it. But still, we still sit here 5-2 and a 5-game stretch that looks pretty much like a layup. That's what it looks like. I don't want to count my chickens before they hatch, but
Stanford's about to beat Florida State, guys, by the way. Just want to point that out.
Hey, that Florida State job might be open.
Yeah. There's a lot of jobs going to be open. So this is going to be a crazy offseason.
Yeah.
Connor O'Doherty, thank you for the super chat. What a game. Hold that L. SoCal. By the way, IB Tailgate was a blast. Love meeting Brian and Trevor in person.
Yeah, it was great meeting you too, Connor, man. Tailgate today, fellas, was awesome. The rain held off till like 4. Got to meet a ton of great people. Had an absolute blast. Really appreciated you guys coming by. Didn't bring a whole lot of food home, so some of y'all still came after eating. Y'all didn't listen to me, but a lot of people did. It was so much fun. And Trev, appreciate you, man. Kind of getting there early and helping us get set up with everything. And it was a blast. And of course, where's Vince? Where's Sean? I was like, am I not enough for you? I'm just kidding, but like. Yeah. So then when I told him where you were, Vince was like, well, how's Dylan doing? I'm like, hold on a second. Let me go call him.
Yeah.
I got
you
nothing
called me
else
at
to do.
halftime. It was perfect.
I'm totally kidding. But no, it was so awesome, man. It was neat. I met a family today where it's like the mom, the sister, the brother, and the dad all listen to the show, which is awesome. Our guy, Just Your Ordinary Joe, is there with his wife. which was great. Got to see Joe today.
Yeah.
Speaking of Christopher Galloway was there today. Got to see Christopher again, rocking the IB hat. So it was great to see him. So many great people today, man. Just really appreciate y'all coming by. We got a couple of, actually, let's just kind of knock those out right now. We had a couple super chats about people that came to the tailgate today. So Christopher Frederico, great to meet you at the tailgate today. Keep doing what you guys do. Chris, it was great meeting you too, man. I really appreciate you very, 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 very much, man. Very much. Ray Price, got a chance to meet him today. Thank you, Super Chat Ray. Had a great time talking to you today. As always, thank you for keeping all of us so informed. What a great game. Go Irish. So just want to thank you guys for that. And Connor had a chance to sit down. This is actually I think the family that I was talking about. My dad and I will be at the game against Syracuse. It'll be our dream of our – actually, no, this isn't Connor. It's somebody else. My dad and I will be at the Notre Dame game against Syracuse. It will be our first dream of our first Notre Dame game. Where can I find y'all? I want to meet y'all. I've been watching y'all for a year and a big fan. So, Connor, we won't be doing a tailgate for that game, but we'll still probably I'll still probably have a meetup somewhere on campus and get a chance to meet some people. So that'll be a lot of fun. So I appreciate you very, very much. But and that's also from Connor. Appreciate you very much. But yeah, just all the people that came by today, guys. It was a blast. We had a ton of fun.
Awesome.
Ton of fun. Then you missed on some good food, man. We had walking tacos. We had barbecue pulled pork. We had hot dogs. My mom made all these homemade candies and stuff. It was a lot of good stuff, buddy.
Impressive.
A lot of Mountain Dew. Vince.
Speaking my language. Irish 42, thanks for the super chat. Interested to hear how the recruiting weekend visits went. Go Irish.
Yeah, well, Sean will have updates on the board, but as he said earlier in the show, Sean, if I heard you correctly, a lot of good feedback so far.
I have been texting back and forth during the show with several kids, and great job. I think the rain actually kind of allowed more of a mixing of the actual commits and the parents, and everyone had like a chance to talk. It's just, you know how it is, Brian. Certain guys, they'll grab certain guys and pull them over here, and then certain guys, when they ended the walk, the recruits didn't get a chance to go out for the walks, and now they're pretty much in the same spot. They're kind of forced to like really talk, converse, spend time with one another. And I think one of the things that stood out for a big time defensive line recruit, he kind of talked about that. Like, like the game was great. The atmosphere was great despite the rain, but man, just really getting the vibe with the commits and just get their feedback on, why they chose Notre Dame, and, the families being able to talk. I think today ended up being a great day for Notre Dame. I really do. I'm looking forward to seeing how it parlays into, like, after the season, junior day and everything. But the two big games outside of losing to Texas A&M have been a massive success. The two big recruiting weekends, Texas A&M and USC, have been a massive success.
I won't be shocked if they get a couple commitments from this weekend somewhat soon.
Christopher Galloway, thank you so much for the super chat. Red zone offense is poor.
Nah, it is, Christopher. I mean, he and I were actually talking about this before at the tailgate, and they got to figure it out, Trev. I mean, Chris is talking. Chris is an old school offensive line. He's talking about I formation, and I'm like, dude, that's fine. I mean, that could work. I don't think it's so much you got to do this, you got to do that, but you got to find something that you can execute physically and like with physicality, and something that is sound. And they don't have answers right now, and that's why it's just another reason why the Bible is so important. But like they're gonna have to find some answers, because it may not hurt them in the next 5 games. It probably won't hurt them in the next 5 games. But it'll hurt them when you get to the playoffs and you've got to play Georgia, Ohio State, teams like that. And that's when it hurts you. And that's ultimately what you're working towards at this point in time. Is your next 5 games are perfecting what you do, so that way when you get to the postseason, you can go play better football.
Go Irish. Thanks for the super chat. Please comment on more traveling and coverage.
I mean,
go ahead, Trev.
he's the best cover corner in college football. And I think today just kind of solidified that. I mean, he's just an absolute monster. And he's only a sophomore. It still blows my mind that he has to come back next year.
True sophomore, yeah.
He's so good. He's the best cover corner in college football, and I will die on that hill.
You won't have to do that here. We're going to all be in agreement. Here's my takeaway on that. It worked at shutting down Mekhi Lemon. I also think it cost you a couple big plays early in the game because now you're putting Dallas Golden in a situation where he's playing a position he hasn't played, and then he turns the guy loose for a big play. So, but you got to kind of give something I've always believed that you leave him in the boundary, let him lock down Jacoby Lane, and then you can do some other different things.
You mean Jacoby Dean?
Who?
Jacoby Dean? That's who you're talking about? No, the broadcast kept calling him Jacoby Dean.
I was like, I'm lost. Is this like a Jimmy
and we were
Dean
like
that?
Trev,
I'm so lost right now.
Trev, I'm like, dude, as a producer, I'm like, no one's going to tell him in the ear it's Jacoby Lane. Like, no, you're just going to allow him to say it 4 or 5 times over the broadcast. And he just kept saying it.
Yeah.
And finally in the fourth quarter, he says, "Oh, Jacoby Lane." I'm like, "Oh, you got it."
Yeah,
someone told him in his ear.
59-yard touchdown, maybe.
It's like,
that's bad. That's
like,
bad. But I would have said, hey, shut him down, and then you do some brackets and some different things on Mekhi Lemon. It worked for the most part, keeping Mekhi Lemon in check. But at the end of the day, you may not do something that I prefer, but did it work or not? And at the end of the day, I mean, they kept USC to 24 points.
I agree with you on the early things that hurt you, but the impact, it had a greater impact, in my opinion, on Lincoln Riley. I think it really messed with Lincoln Riley. Like, I got to get my guy the ball. He is the focal point of our passing offense. We go as he goes. And I think that call that led to the fumble, that's him like forcing the issue. Like, okay, we got the big play to him. Let's find another way to get him the ball or get him involved in the offense. I thought he was effective for them as a decoy, really messing with Notre Dame.
76 yards.
Yeah, but
I'll say this in regard to Trevor's comment about him being the best cover guy. I think today actually proved something about Leonard Moore, though, that I don't know that we knew. And what I mean by that is he's built for the boundary. 6'2 plus, long, physical, fast. They put him in space today. And Mekhi beat him once on a slant. And after that, I mean, he locked him down. That requires and this is where I think Trevor's point becomes not debatable anymore, because he proved something today that if you wanted to turn him into an all-time nickel, he could go out there and thrash you. If you wanted to turn him into a field corner, he could go out there and thrash you. If you wanted to put him in the boundary, he can go out there and thrash you. I mean, he did something. He just took one of the best slot receivers in college football and completely took him out of his game. Like that, the big play that Mekhi Lemon had, the 42-yarder, he wasn't being covered by Leonard Moore because they went away from him in the second half. So I think that says a lot about your football team. I might have wrote Florida State off a little bit too soon. They were going to get one more play here with a chance. They just threw a Hail Mary, and they're going to spike it with the second left. But it worked. If you're going to do something like that, he better play well. I think this is the final point. If you're going to do that, he better play well. And he absolutely did.
Steve Rolfe, thanks for the super chat. Do you guys think Raridan's height makes him struggle to pull or lead block?
No, I thought
today he proved that's not the case at all. He blocked really well today.
No, I agree. He had one block where he worked up to the linebackers on one of the long runs, and the linebackers just crashed in the hole, and he just stones them. So no, I think for the most part he's been a pretty good blocker all year. He's had his mistakes like everybody has, but I think for the most part Eli Red has been a pretty good blocker for Notre Dame this year.
God. Sorry, watching the Florida State game.
Yeah.
Yikes. Can't have a bad snap there, folks.
All right. We already had this one. That's my bad.
Okay, sorry. Carson Jackson, thank you for the super chat. Happy for CG performance tonight. Felt his body language was different or tight from usual. Tonight, though, when trying to run full speed, hope he is not injured. Ultimate competitor on the next drive after the touchdown.
I think Christian Gray played okay tonight. I do. I think the big play that came right after he got called for 2 straight pass interference penalties, I think that was kind of in his head a little bit. He's got to be able to work past that. He had several good plays tonight. A couple of the balls that were caught in front of him were against cover 3, where he was 10, 11, 12 yards off the ball at the snap. The play that over the middle where he got beat for 42 yards, I don't think that was on him. I think that's a play where the safety's supposed to squeeze down. Now, he did have some of his mistakes. The one PI where he grabs guy's jersey. That's what Sean was saying. You got to trust your technique a little bit better. But, Christian made a lot of good plays tonight too. He's just got to eliminate some of those plays where it's like, dude, you're right there. Just finish the playoff better. Like, have the confidence to finish the playoff better. But, but he also stepped up and made some big plays tonight as well. Had a pick, I think. Did he finish with 2? They reversed his 1 pick, right? Correct?
Yes, he had 1.
He ended up just with 1 pick, right?
He had 1.
He had 2, but then they reversed it.
Right.
So, yeah, because him and Christian and Luke Talich had the other one right at the end of the game.
Correct.
So,
Yep.
Yeah.
Sure did. Jack Potas, thank you very much for the super chat. Appreciate you. Super sticker.
Yeah, there's another one from Jack. And then Jack had this one as well. And then Jack also left this question.
Okay, says, is this a championship team?
And then he corrected the championship. So thank you for all those super chats, Jack.
Wow, Jack. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Holy moly.
Trev and I will discuss that later this week. That will be one of our topics of conversation. And my answer is going to be close, but not there yet.
Agreed.
And that's what the bye week, these last 5 games are going to be. There are still some things where I want to get, to win a championship, you can't keep being a team that, well, with the exception of them not scoring in the red zone and going 3 of 11 on 3rd down and being sloppy here, boy, yeah, that's a pretty good win because, yeah, that's fine against USC. That works against NC State. That works against Boise. But I don't know that's going to work against Bama. I don't know if that's going to work against Ohio State. I don't know if that's going to work against some of the top teams. So they have the talent to be a championship football team. I don't think that's debatable. Are they there yet? They're not there yet, but they're a whole lot closer than they were a month ago. But I think that's what the final 6 weeks of the season by plus the 5 games is going to tell us. That's where they got to work towards. Anybody want to take a stab at this question? Beyond that?
No, I fall in line with where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
It's confirmed they have championship caliber talent.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Nick Jensen, thank you for the super chat. 34-24, Trevor Trowbridge, legend.
So not only that, because Trev, you went 34-24, right? I went 30. What was that your prediction?
It was 34-24.
I went 31-24. Trev absolutely nailed that one. Bench, you were close too. You went 37-24.
Kickers.
So yeah. And if the freaking kicker screwed you over, dude.
Never trust a kicker.
So I'm not even going to give Trev a ton of credit for that one because we were all kind of close. Here's where I'm giving Trevor credit. We're putting as I'm driving to PA on Wednesday, driving to the funeral we're going to, I called Trev and we're going over the games we want to talk about on the Thursday show. And Trev goes, hey man, I really want to talk about this Miami Louisville game. He goes, because it's like, I got a feeling about this game. He's like, Jeff Brom just does this every year. And at some point in time, Mario Cristobal is going to Mario Cristobal. Like, that's the game Trevor nailed this week, like even more so than the USC game, because we kind of all got that one. And I was like, dude, let's do it. And then we were also like, and Nebraska's gonna Nebraska. But Trev, all the way back on Wednesday, was like, dude, I want to talk about this Louisville-Miami game because I got a feeling Louisville's going to go on the road and win this game. It's Friday night, all that different stuff. And so phenomenal prediction on that one, Trev. So got that one also. So I'm kidding about not giving you credit for you getting the right score, because if I would have done that, I would have absolutely taken freaking credit for that. But no, I was even more impressed by the fact that like he saw that Miami Louisville game coming.
Had a feeling, but yeah, it was. I mean, and on the spread option, Vince, my lock and dog of the week hit. So this is a good
dog
week.
missed by half a point, baby. Half a point.
What was yours, Vince?
It was Ole Miss. Ole Miss was my dog, and it was 7.5, and they lost by 8. So I knew I was taking a chance on that one, but it was back and forth so much in that game. But anyway, Craig Sebring, thanks for the super chat. We make the playoffs. A lot of DCs will not sleep well at night. When the offense is humming, they're a really good offense, you know.
And I think they'll get there.
Yeah.
I think they'll get there.
Like you said, you got an opportunity here for bye week and all that fun stuff. So
a lot of get right opportunities.
P. Jesse, we're going to go with. Thank you for the massive super
Big one.
chat. Appreciate you very, very much. Says, thanks for the hospitality today. Only thing better than a win against Southern Cal is when a sad SC fan leaves early. Both sides of the ball made big plays when they needed to. What changes would you prioritize over the bye for red zone offense? Gene, Patrick, and Ben.
It was great seeing you guys again. So I met Patrick I met Ben for the first time tonight. Patrick and Gene I met for the first time last weekend. But, you know, we'll do more on this during the week. But first of all, I think they need to figure out who they want to be in the red zone, first of all. And say, hey, like, are we going to be a team that tries to run at you? And if so, then you've got to make some personnel adjustments. If you're going to say, hey, we're going to keep running the ball right up the middle, then stop having Will Pauling and Jordan Faison and Malachi Fields be your edge protectors. Just go 13 personnel, put Sullivan Absher in the game at tight end, have Eli Rader be attached on the other side, and put Ty Washington as your wing, as your movement guy. And then, you know, like, put Malachi Fields out by himself. And if they cover Malachi one-on-one, then you can take the fade. Otherwise, you've got all the edges protected and you just bully teams up the middle. I mean, like, if that's who you want to be, if you want to be a team that stays 11 personnel, then spread them out and do stuff out of spread formations. I mean, it's like you're caught in between two things. You're trying to be this, but you're trying to do it this way, and it's just not working. And so I think those are all big parts of it. They just need to figure out who do you want to be in the red zone, and then build accordingly. I don't care if they know what's coming. Your offensive line should be good enough to say, I don't care if you know what's coming. But if you're going to do that, you've got to then do things that allow you to maximize that. And having Will Pauling and Jordan Faison and Malachi Fields being your backside edge protectors is clearly not working for you. You're going to have to figure something else out, in my opinion. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing. And also, you know, look and see. This is what bye weeks are so great for, guys, because you get a chance to not only self-scout yourself, but you get to start seeing, okay, what are teams doing to us in the red zone, and what can we do to counter that? Teams are crashing. They're slanting and crashing linebackers. They're filling up all the gaps. They're overloading certain sides, and you've got to find some answers for that. You know, what are some things you can do? Is it going under center or not? Is it pistol or not? Is it shotgun or not? I mean, you just got to figure, and you can win under all those alignments, but you just got to figure out who we are. Then how do we build towards being that team? And I don't think it's, well, get Jeremiah Love out of there, put in Aeneas Williams or whoever else. It's like, that's not really the answer either. I mean, it could be. It's you don't just put him in and then Jabron in and run the same stuff, and all of a sudden it's going to work out. If it's not working out for Jeremiah Love or Jeremiah Price, and guys, it's not going to work out no matter who you put on the field. There's bigger issues, and you just got to figure those things out and make those adjustments. that's my thing, guys, is you need to alter your personnel in the scoring zone inside the 10. It's like me and O'Malley were joking during the game where it's like when Jeremiah Love ran it inside the 10, I was like, that was a Bush League move by Jeremiah Love. You got to take a knee at the 12. So that way your offense has got a shot to score. Like, why would you run it inside the 10, Jeremiah? What are you thinking? You know, there's obviously joking, but you got to find some answers there, fellas.
P. Jesse again. Thanks for the super chat. P.S. DJ did get the back to Cali troll in at the end.
Nice. I didn't see that one. I didn't hear that one. We had walked out, so that's awesome. I love that. I love that.
This is a petty DJ. I'm here for it.
Yes, I dig it. I absolutely dig it. Absolutely dig it. So we're finally getting to your question, 5-7 skate rat, 5-7-4 skate rat, because we go in order of when they were submitted. So you can now take a deep breath, and we're going to finish.
Thanks for this super chat, skate rat. Put love in the Heisman race. He deserves it. It's not up to us. He's the most dynamic player in college football. You know, it's kind of up to the Heisman people at this point.
He's in it.
Well, go ahead, Drew.
He's the highest rated running back in it. He has the 8th best odds to win the Heisman Trophy right now.
But here's the thing, guys. I don't know that prior to today he really had that kind of performance that was going to make people take notice.
Sure.
He was really good against Arkansas, but that was a noon kickoff against the team that was getting ready to fire their coach. I don't know that 4 touchdown performance caught people's attention. This game will. There's no question. And it is a year where there is no like clear front runner for the Heisman. I mean, some people are trying to say that Carson Beck is. That's gone. You know, so I mean, I think he's in it now. But Sean, you know how it is, man. You need these marquee games to get in the conversation. And tonight was a marquee game, and he was brilliant. And he's now up over 700 yards in only 6 games and scored a ton of touchdowns. So I think he needed a game like this to get in that conversation.
And let's be honest. There's only been one game that he didn't produce, and that's because they didn't give him the ball, and that was Miami. We didn't give him the ball against Miami. So it was like we waited until late, and if they had just gave him the ball 20 to 25 touches, we might be looking at a different race, you know, even with the losses, because he's been incredible, man. The guy's been incredible, and we have critiqued him on his patience, his vision at times, and even with all of that, he's still like, you know, slotted to be what, possibly a top 10, top 5 pick in the NFL draft.
Yeah.
Like the second best prospect in the draft, according to a lot of people. And, you know, like you said, Brian, a lot of people talk about, you know, well, the offense looks better when this guy's on the field.
Because there have been times when that was absolutely true,
right?
That it moved. But, I mean, Jeremiah Love came in tonight averaging 5.3 yards per carry.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he had 530 rushing yards in 6 games. Like, he shouldn't have been a top-of-the-line contender coming into tonight. But this is the kind of game that can change that in a hurry. Spotlight game, ranked opponent, and just absolutely, utterly dominant. Because his numbers are going to look a whole lot different after this game than they did coming in.
Yeah.
And Trev said he was still 8th best odds on FanDuel, even before tonight's game.
He's the highest.
Who's the nice on quarterback, Trev? Is it
Jeremiah
him?
Love. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, he doesn't suck.
He's going to have some opportunities to put up some numbers here moving forward too. So, you know, a lot of people are just going to look at numbers, and so he'll have an opportunity here. Little guy 131, thanks for the super chat. Has Rudolph or Ash earned a job next year if no regression and truly no changes to scheme or play calling?
I honest little guy, I don't know. I have a hard time, like, because I don't want to have this conversation now because it's a different time, different place. But you did the super chat, and I appreciate that. I respect the question. But when a coordinator is kind of forced to do something that works, I don't care that it starts working. I'm not giving him a ton of credit for that because you should have done that to begin with. I called Trev last night, pissed off, and I was like, if I'm Marcus Freeman, I'm watching this Louisville-Miami game, and I'm calling Chris Ash, and I'm going to have some words with him because I'll be like, this is what we freaking should have done. But like, you shouldn't have needed 2 losses and 23 points in that first half against Purdue to figure out that this is how to use your team. So no, I don't know that this has done that because you can't undo the 2 losses that you suffered. For Rudolph, I mean, look, Rudolph's a good offensive line coach. I just don't think he's a great offensive line coach. But do you know that, you're going to be able to replace him? I'm not really worried about firing coaches right now or coaches moving on or whatever the case may be. They're 5-2. I'm worried about, let's see if there is no regression, and we'll cross that bridge. But you're not going to find me in love with the job Chris Ash is doing from here on out. I'll praise for the job he's doing, but that doesn't just eliminate and erase what we had to watch the first 3 games of the season. Doesn't do it. Yeah. Last 2, then we're out of here, guys.
Celtiverse, thank you for the super chat. Just made the hour-plus drive back home to Hammond. Thanks, guys, for keeping me up for the drive. You're welcome.
Yes, you are absolutely welcome.
That's what we do. John B., thanks for the super chat. The team Alabama lost to just lost to Stanford.
Yeah, and looked good beating Alabama. Like, it wasn't fluky.
Yeah,
they
really
were physical.
Did.
They out-hit them. They outplayed them. They out-schemed them. And this is, 4 in a row that they've lost? They just lost. And Brian Smith called this, like, on Tuesday. Did you guys see the tweet that Brian – he's like, Florida State's going to lose to Stanford. Smitty called this, like, on Monday or Tuesday, guys. He saw this one coming, and he nailed it because he obviously has covered Florida State. He does a podcast with Florida State. He absolutely nailed that. He said they're going to go out and lose to Stanford. So shout out to my dude, Beast Brian Smith, because he nailed that, man. He nailed that.
Nice.
Yep. But that's it for the super chats, fellas. Appreciate it, everybody. Thank you very much.
All right. Well, thanks for hanging out with us into the wee hours of the morning. It's always fun and a little bit easier after a win over Southern Cal. And they will always be Southern Cal, by the way. So, 10-point win over Southern Cal. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us. Make sure you jump on the boards at boards.irishbreakdown.com because that is where you will find our Upon Further review that we will get after tomorrow and Monday. And then just for some other breakdowns and other conversation and just, it's really the best thing you can do money can buy. So make sure you check it out. And so for Sean, for Trevor, for Brian, I'm Vince. We will talk to you next time on the Irish Breakdown podcast presented by our friends at FanDuel. Have a great rest of your morning,